You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer.
All right, good morning and welcome in. Happy Thursday. It is Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you this morning. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Good morning.
We have live sports on the television yet again. Once again, we're
Welcome
like
to the morning.
week 9 or whatever, something like that, doing this show. And for a lot of the days, a surprising amount of the days, there has been sports on either at some point during the show or even when the show starts. We've had multiple worldwide events going on. This is the third one, I believe, with the Australian Open, the Olympics, and now the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of the Australian Open as a worldwide event, though. I mean, obviously, any player that qualifies from anywhere in the world can play in it. So
It does happen in the world.
Yeah, it just compared to the other ones, I hadn't thought of that. But no, you're absolutely correct. It's great having sports on in the morning. It is great that baseball is back.
I love it. And I'm sure you were a big fan of waking up to see Travis Bazzana.
I was awake to see Travis Bazzana.
When did that happen?
It was like 10:30 last night, so it wasn't that late.
Okay. All right. That's good. All
It's
right.
funny because Nebraska plays on Tuesday, and it's like, I got to stay up for this whole thing. And then just on a normal Wednesday, I was up until 11:30 anyways last night. So, it wasn't
You should go to
part
bed
of that.
earlier.
I took a nap on Wednesday afternoon, even though I didn't want to, but I felt like I just needed to. And then I just didn't want to go to sleep earlier because of taking that.
Because of the nap.
So I feel good though today. So I'm ready to roll.
Let's go. Well, I must have just missed the Travis Bazzana home run.
Yeah, I think you just missed it.
Probably, I probably packed it in right before that. But luckily, I didn't have to stay up until after midnight to watch a basketball game.
It's got to be nice.
The game ended at like 7:15 last night. It was fantastic. And then there was more stuff to do. But the Creighton Blue Jays somehow put together their best half of the year,
Such
probably
a normal game.
in the second half. Yeah, they had to survive a roof leak at historic Hinkle Fieldhouse. And now they are rewarded with their excellent, outstanding play. Yeah, we played so well. We have so much momentum now. And we definitely play this weekend for the finale, right? No, you don't. You have the weekend off before you have to wait at least 7 days. Well, at least 6 days, I suppose.
Yeah.
To play in the Big East tournament. Although that picture looks a little bit more rosy. We'll explain that today during the show. Nebraska football coaches had some comments yesterday, coaches and players. We heard from Anthony Calandria. Way to go. It was nice. We'll have clips today on the show. So we are excited to play those. We met the quarterback. He has a very different, distinctly different vibe to him than Dylan Raiola.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I would say that's fair.
I
It was probably going to be true almost no matter who it was.
Yeah, he is pretty unique, it seems.
But, he has a different vibe to him than Adrian Martinez, too. I think you can kind of just go down the list.
He might just have a different vibe.
Yeah, which, frankly,
I do have one personality comp just based on seeing him talk for 12 minutes yesterday.
We'll save that one.
Yeah,
for
we'll
the video
discuss.
clips.
We will indeed discuss a little bit later on in the show. Anyway, today coming up, we're sort of busy today. We have 3 guests. Brian Christopherson coming up at 8:30. Max Olson coming up at 9:15, fresh off his time at the NFL Combine. And we will talk to Sarah Baker Hansen, who I mean, a couple people love talking about. You're talking to a few people who love talking about food here, especially Omaha food. And it's fish fry season.
Yes.
Which is a very big
Nice.
deal. And Sarah Baker Hansen has the comprehensive list and rankings, I believe, coming out shortly.
Yeah, I don't know about rankings, but definitely a fish fry guide for the Omaha area.
Well, you don't want to
Which-
rank churches?
Look, I don't want to speak on her behalf. I don't know if their rankings are not.
All right, we're fine.
So,
We're going to find out.
I just know it's a comprehensive guide to the fish fries, which coming from Lincoln, where there's just a very distinct, clear, this is where you go.
Oh, no,
To a
that's
community
not in
where-
Omaha.
I mean, I've been doing Omaha fish fries for a few years, so I know a handful of them, but there's just like the volume isn't even
The
close.
volume is extreme, and everybody's trying to catch up. It's like college football. It's like, all right, what? You're building a $200 million facility? I think we'll do that too. What are you doing? Are you putting a sleep pods inside of it? We have to do the sleep pods. Everybody is just trying to keep up with the Joneses in the fish fry world.
Yeah, look, I
It's very
appreciate
competitive.
it. The winners are us, the
No
fish
doubt.
fry participants.
Just like in college, the winners are like the college athletes. Right? Sweet. Soon enough, they'll be paying us to go to fish fries.
That is the dream, really.
We should be making money off of this.
Absolutely. NIL deals for fish fries. That'd be fantastic.
So she'll join us at 7:45 today, and then once a month going forward, first Thursday of the month going forward, which I completely support because I will probably talk about food several times in between the month in which she joins us. But
You'll
then
have to like
it'll be good to actually talk to a professional once a month.
these were our opinions the last 3 weeks. Would you like to grade them?
That's a pretty good bit. It's a pretty good bit. This guy said this about this historic Omaha landmark.
Yeah,
Let's ask Sarah.
basically.
All right, so that's coming up at 7:45 today. That is the lineup. As always, we would love it if you commented on the show, if you called the show,
Would be nice.
if you texted the show, if you just said anything to us. Just get in touch. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer, at Joey Warcola on Twitter. Email Connor, Mike, Joey at 1620thezone.com and the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today, where Mike writes in, Bet-Free Mike says, you have one keg, we'll have two. Catholic churches. Signed Catholic churches.
I think they might need more than two.
Yeah, I think
depending on the
it would
volume.
maybe like 20.
Yeah.
So, people just walking around. It's just such a distinct image of people our age or older walking down high school hallways with
Not even high school.
elementary school
Yeah.
hallways, like whatever it might be, hallways like with lockers and kids' drawings on the wall.
Here's
just with a
Colton's
giant
artwork.
Yeah.
And I'm over here drinking my whatever. it
like
is.
I have one pitcher of
Yep.
beer to myself, and I'm about to drink the entire thing.
and like
What a
four
picture.
people in your group have to go get pitchers at once. God forbid you run out and have to wait an extra 6 minutes to get to the drink table.
I love the imagery.
It is fantastic. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about fish fries. but
I mean, we can set the table for the fish fry talk right now.
Yeah. I like, and this is for some reason there's people that just don't want this, but I want there to be a line. Like I don't want to get there too early, and then
That's
I'm just
the point.
yeah. But there's people who like think the fish fry is the point of the fish at the end, and I don't understand it. It's literally the line is the ride,
Yeah.
and then at the end of it, you're rewarded with some fish.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing like a $1 beer night at Creighton.
I would
games.
think so.
Like,
I mean, what's the reward? The Creighton game?
excellent point. It's most years, yes, that is the reward.
I suppose.
And the $1 beer. But what happens is you get two $1 beers and you go up to the front of the line. It happens very, very fast. They're just in cans. And you go immediately to the back of the line again. You absolutely house those beers. You commiserate with your friends about the positivity, or in this case, the negativity of the season. You might run into some people who are filming content for a variety of different things. Like, I don't know, on social media
Sure.
or on a thing called Jay's Live or something like that, and they'll stick a microphone in front of your face, and you're like, I've had 6 beers in 8 minutes, man. I don't want to talk right now. And I'll say, sorry, too bad. Or, I mean, that person will say, sorry, too bad. But that's the fun of it. The line. What
The
other
line, yeah.
events do we have? What other things do we have where the line is it's not necessarily the attraction, but it is really the meat of the sandwich. The line.
So the only other real experience I've kind of had like this is if you end up down at a place like Austin and you go to a Franklin's barbecue, the line experience is like part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, people bring coolers and they're just hanging out, passing out drinks down the line because it's just like it's an atmosphere leading up to the barbecue. Now, I will say, if you have a line leading to like world-class barbecue, pretty fantastic.
That's pretty good.
People are usually in a very good mood with that line, unless, as I was one time when Lincoln Arneal was waiting for me as I was getting late from the airport, I cut in that line, and it is some of the worst I've ever felt.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Well, he was there. That's who I was eating with.
And Schaefer, these are hungry people.
I know.
They're
Nobody said anything, but I felt the comments they were thinking.
they are emotionally altered, right? Like your chemistry is off when
Your
you're hungry.
brain is just like, all I can think about is this food and then finishing with some pecan pie.
And then I got this
everything
guy
else.
cutting me. Like, what if they run out of barbecue? Barbecue places are known for running out of barbecue.
Well, you see me cutting the line, you're like, oh no. What aren't we going to have here in about 4 minutes?
This guy's gonna order so much cornbread.
They hope I'm ordering cornbread.
I'm screwed. He's gonna order way too much cornbread.
That guy orders his brisket by the pounds multiple, and he doesn't take any home.
Matthew writes in, did Joey get a fresh haircut?
Yes, I did.
Looking sharp, Joey.
Yes, I
Did he get
did.
it yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got it yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Big. But did you have it for the show yesterday?
No, not yet. No,
That's what I
not-
thought.
not-
Yeah,
not
it was
for the
yesterday
show.
afternoon.
I thought he had it for the show yesterday.
I got it in between.
Maybe
the
he
show
had shaved.
and-
I'll tell you what,
yesterday.
if there's one thing I'm really perceptive about, it's when people get
People's hair.
when people get haircuts, except for my wife, because she never she never changes her hair at all or like cuts any length off of her hair. And then she'll come back and she'll be like, did you notice I got a haircut? And I was like, actually, no, not at all. And then I feel really bad for that one because I am pretty perceptive.
What's
about
What's
haircuts.
funny is you guys are the first to notice because I showed up back to the station and it's still the working hours since the Creighton game started at 5.
Unbelievable, Joey. Those
know.
people don't care about you.
I know they don't care.
Don't listen to those people.
Yeah,
Notice.
Ridiculous.
Just think about your people. And here we are. Schaefer came in this morning and he asked you how'd the Celtics do last night.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
was-
real
and
friend.
they
I
got-
felt bad
and they
because
got
I didn't
blown
know
out.
that they had gotten crushed.
I didn't.
So it was not,
Luckily, I didn't get to watch it, but I'm happy for Ryan Kalkbrenner to beat
There we
his
go.
best.
I don't
his-
think Schaefer
former
meant
teammate.
it antagonistically.
No. He
Trust me, when I
actually
asked you
didn't
about
know.
the Celtics, there is 100% chance I have no idea what
he
happened.
cares about my basketball well-being, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Elsewhere today, we're going to bring back our idea that we had yesterday that was sort of conceived on the air. We're going to place labels on these college basketball teams, round of 64, round of 30. Well, we'll actually just do first weekend, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4. And we're not going to split hairs in between national champions in Final 4, although we could, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we're not going to split hairs in between losing in the first round and losing in the second round. But we're going to put labels on these
Unless
teams.
I feel very specific about a team.
That is encouraged, I think. And then we're going to say +1, +2, -1, -2 based off of the labels that they are given. And the labels are based off of common
Yeah.
perception. Okay.
I looked through them. I
you
have
agree
no
with
complaints
okay.
on the label.
All right, good. And then we
And
can
if
talk.
I did, that's the whole point of the exercise.
You could also use this as an opportunity to talk about whichever team you'd like to talk about. I have an opinion is coming up at 8:00, or should I say, I have an opinion. So get your opinions in at all of the ways to get in contact with the show. We'll talk about the Blue Jays from last night, the Nebraska media availability. Our mayor has commented on Streetcar Gate.
Oh, wow. I know that there was some businesses awaiting word.
I will ask you to, I'm going to read the mayor's comments later on in the show, and then I will ask you to PR translate it.
Okay. All right.
I think today, Pacific should be open back up from
Yes.
the sinkhole.
Now, I, for some reason, was under the impression that the sinkhole was going to cause an outage for a significant portion of
I would
time.
think.
Apparently, it is not. So I hope.
I guess not. I'm
now-
gonna just check on
Credit where credit is due. Nice job.
It's
I'm
like
just
when
gonna
the
check on
mound
Google
goes out,
Maps.
they just fill in the holes and they have the work crew and tamp some areas. And
Oh, that is a
there you go.
nightmare scenario for the College World Series, but it happens every single year. Every single year. Or when the roof leaks at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
that was
They just send a guy up there, patch it up.
No, John said in the broadcast the last time it happened, they just had someone use a bucket, like they just hook a bucket up
remember
on,
this.
on the roof.
I
And I
they
was
never
asking,
check back in on TV if they did that or not.
no, they didn't, and I was wondering how they would strap a bucket on the roof. Would they just do it from inside or from the outside? And if they was outside,
creates an incredible visual.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Just
Just
one
like the-
little bucket.
You know, it was like the
With a
Home Depot
bucket.
bucket or whatever.
Yeah, it's
you know,
got to be the 5-gallon bucket.
and
Yeah.
you just like you have it like if I angle it like this.
What if the
hook it-
bucket falls from the roof with the water? That is a double whammy. That could really hurt somebody.
Be a disgusting shower for someone?
What an odd
Just get some
basketball
Flex
game
Seal.
last night. Speaking of
it's
courts
waterproof.
and
Now
problems,
that would be a good addition to those commercials.
Yeah.
We're outside of Hinkle Fieldhouse,
where apparently the roof leaks like more than occasionally. So
and they can't afford it, but they can afford us.
who's the Flex Seal guy?
Phil Swift.
Phil Swift. He just slaps it like he does with the boat on that commercial.
Yeah.
Bang! Flex Seal. Speaking of basketball courts, the Big 12 basketball court of doom
Oh man,
has
I was excited to send you this text.
they seem to have maybe forgotten a few details.
A flaw in the plan.
Flawed the plan. Also, we'll talk about this later, but
Yeah. No, I know where you're gonna go.
the court is just ugly. Anyway.
Yeah.
Also, Aaron Rodgers sure does talk about his wife a lot for a guy that apparently doesn't want to talk about his wife.
Mystery person.
Weird.
It's super odd. It's
Aaron
almost like he likes
Rodgers
attention.
invites a lot of conversation about things he claims he doesn't think is actual
Yeah,
conversation.
even that. He's
There's
like,
never been a history of this before.
yeah, he's like, I don't like attention. And then he talks about things that he doesn't want attention for all
I
the time.
sure do not
I
miss
don't like
this.
attention. Why aren't you guys talking about me?
I can't believe you guys are talking about
I
me all
need
the
to
time.
release a report that I'm pondering a decision.
Meanwhile, my current NFL quarterback has a wife, and she's active.
And she's active. She's a person. We can confirm.
Yeah, she's a
this.
person. She's a
All right.
person. She's a pro volleyball star.
I don't know what Aaron wants to get out of this entire thing.
I don't know.
but
attention. It's
we'll-
always attention.
We will potentially discuss a little bit later on in the show. And also stay tuned all the way to the end because our third bracket sim of the day
Oh man,
is coming. Nebraska is 2 for 2 and going to the Sweet 16.
I told so many people about the bracket sim yesterday, and it was like in this weird gleeful tone of like, hey, there's a 10 seed that knocks off the 2 in the bracket sim. And that 10 seed's texted A&M, just groan every time. Like, come on.
There was some theater in that I really, really enjoyed.
It
Now,
was-
we're not going to get that every day.
No, I know.
But
Well, there's going to be a day where Nebraska doesn't win in the first round.
there's going to be a day when they go to the Final Four, too.
Yeah, but that's going to be a day.
Maybe it's today. Stay tuned. All right, off and running on a Thursday. Thanks for being with us. It's Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. It might surprise you to know that I looked at Czech's World Baseball Classic roster earlier, and they did not have anyone, literally. And I like to think that I know like some random corners of the baseball world. Not a single name that seemed familiar to me, like not even like a sniff of it. So Czechia is losing 10-3 to the Republic of Korea.
It's a football score.
In the top of the 8th. That's right. They can, just a touchdown away for Czechia, who's in the top of the 8th with an out.
Or you just throw an interception to Matt O'Hanlon, 2009 Nebraska.
No,
Oklahoma.
don't say that. People get mad at me because when I talk about that game and Matt O'Hanlon and I say I never forget, I will never forgive him for it. They'll say, "Oh, you had 3 picks against Oklahoma later on that season." I'll say, "I don't care. I remember the Virginia Tech game more."
My theory on that is it wasn't Matt O'Hanlon that was the fault there.
I
It
know.
was
I just blame him
3.
because he was the one chasing.
Yeah, no, I mean he was
Danny Cole down the sideline. Well, he's wide open. No one's near him.
I was at that game, at that stadium. Lane Stadium's an incredible place to catch a game. It was my first road trip covering a football game ever.
Wow, that's cool.
And I just was standing in the back of the end zone watching Sue bear down on Tyrod Taylor as he got that ball just over his hands.
Yep.
Like just being there in that moment is like, this is the best thing that has ever happened.
It was.
Even
though
though I watched Nebraska
great.
lose, like I knew I wanted to go into sports media, specifically writing at that time, but just like having that opportunity was so cool. And so like, I mean, when student reporters get those opportunities, it's awesome.
Oh, it's very
to be able to
worthwhile.
go like experience something.
Oh, it'll be happening a lot here coming up in a few weeks. I mean, the NCAA tournament is a great place for that. You know what's another great place for that? The College World Series. The College World Series is like almost exclusively like 22-year-old reporters these days.
I got to cover the championship between LSU and Texas because I just like wrote to newspapers with teams that had they're basically newspapers in communities where teams were playing in super regionals.
Mhm.
Like, hey, if your team makes the College World Series, I'm only 50 minutes away and would be interested in an opportunity to, so the Advocate in
Good
Baton
job
Rouge,
by you.
Yeah, the Advocate in Baton Rouge was like, yeah, if they make the championship series, we want to expand our coverage. Would you be interested in doing this? Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
LSU makes it. They play Texas.
What'd they have you do?
I wrote the Texas sidebar, which largely ended up being about Brandon Workman, who was the pitcher in the championship game at that time. That was a game where they had to drag Augie Garrido off the bus.
Oh, yeah.
Because he refused to do his media obligations after.
Mhm.
And so he comes in off the bus all surly in full baseball garb, just an angry man. So I remember that. And then the other stuff they had me do was like sidebar stuff. I don't know if this bar still exists, but I once spent an afternoon hanging out at McFly's because that was like an LSU.
Good. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and people can let us know on that. That was like an LSU hangout spot.
Okay.
And so when they like weren't playing and weren't tailgating, they were just going there. And I always pronounce this wrong, but there's the Italian restaurant that everybody loved that owners moved on from it, and then someone else brought it back. Lo Solo Mio. Yeah. So basically I went to these 2 locations and wrote about how like LSU people flock to them.
That is one thing as a local we do miss about the College World Series, or like I guess I'll speak for myself. Like I miss like the teams who come here a lot, their hangout places. Yeah. I don't know what those are.
Yeah.
Because I just am downtown the entire time or at home.
I think it's obviously changed over years where when it was at Rosenblatt, you sort of had these places that you went outside of Rosenblatt. When it's downtown, you can be a little bit more just like in that area without needing to move on. But those things definitely do exist.
This will be what? I was just thinking about this morning, just briefly, because random stuff crosses my mind at various points of the day. This will be the 16th year at the new ballpark.
Yeah.
Wow.
The 16th season at the new ballpark. The 16th Creighton baseball season opens tomorrow at the new ballpark.
McFly's is now Patty McGowan's.
Patty McGowan's. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I found out.
That's what a text is told me.
Debo says LSU fans go to Barrett's now.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that goes there.
But is that like Debo? Is that like an official like LSU hangout?
That's a real popular
McFly's
spot.
was
That's
the
one of the
spot.
popular.
That's where they told all of the people to
Right,
go.
right,
Like they took it over for the entirety that they would be there.
That's
I
incredible.
mean, it was so cool because it's like you're there as a reporter and everybody just wants to offer you their gumbo and their like all of their food.
They really
come
do
to their
want to
come to
offer
their
you their gumbo.
tailgates, and I have these phone numbers that are probably still on my phone from like, hey, if you come down to Baton Rouge, we'll take care of you. Like
Yeah.
you're, so
That's
Never-
how we got
never
to
got to
know.
Baton Rouge?
That's how we got to know Kellyanne. You know, in the parking lot, she's got her giant LSU
Yeah.
tailgate. It's like, all right, friends, everybody's friends here.
yeah,
right?
it is basically just like a communal potluck when LSU comes to town.
Which is great.
Yeah,
which
it is.
Which is
It is.
greatly appreciated. That's for sure. All right, that's. Don't worry, we're just a couple months away from talking about that conversation. There's no doubt about that. By the way, from the 515, Schaef's story continues with, and I've spent a half a lifetime chronicling the mediocrity at best that has ensued since that Danny Cole catch that night.
Yeah, I mean,
That
you
is-
could argue 2009 was about the apex of what I covered for Nebraska football.
2009 was a heck of a season to be. 2000. I mean, I wasn't like around, but just like actually watching it and caring about it day to day. 2009 and 2010 were the most like. It was definitely the most engaged in Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, it was
football.
had
the
a lot of
apex
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Like you read out around the world
Oh my god!
was
I came
the
back from
build-up for
college that weekend.
was absolutely insane.
It was-
Only for Nebraska to just turtle in a game against a 5-7 Texas team where Garrett Gilbert runs all over Bo Pelini's
and
defense.
nothing happened in the entire game until Eric Haig took back the
That was
Fun.
the only touchdown.
later on.
Well, it's one of those.
But
Right,
I full disclosure, I was outside. I was on Memorial Drive or whatever they called it. Like I was walking away from the stadium. I heard the crowd pop. I'm like, oh God, come on! I missed the one good thing that happened in this game. I was done. That game sucked.
I
One of the
feel
worst
like
experiences I've ever had.
if they had Zach Lee start that game from start to finish, they probably win.
Maybe.
Like they
They
would
didn't really
found
have
their
to
way
do
more
anything.
points.
Yeah,
Like there were several times in his career where, or not, several times in 2010 where it's like, man, if they just remove Taylor from the equation for just 2 series, they probably win this game.
he was some giant albatross that day.
It's so wild. Like when it was Kansas State 2010,
Oh my God, that was like 2 weeks
There's-
earlier.
there's nothing in the world better. And then it's like, oh, there's 2010 Texas. Then there's the second half against Oklahoma in the Big Ten championship.
Or I mean,
game.
you know, the week after the Texas game that year, they came back and put up 50 against Oklahoma State.
And then Roy Halou
Taylor Martinez
ran
threw-
for 300.
Yeah,
Against
that was the game
Missouri,
after
yeah.
that. Taylor Martinez threw for like 400 yards that game. Like, what? Who is this person?
Justin Blackman abused Prince Amukamara in that
Yeah.
game, too. And I was just like, Justin Blackman's going to be the best.
2010,
And he
Nah.
came up well short of being. the
he
best.
did for a variety of different reasons.
There's reasons.
2010 may have been like, this is weird. We're like 16 years of distance.
Oh, I
from
know.
this
That's
now.
it. 2010 can drive now.
2010 may have been the peak for like Husker fans my age. Because that was the year I graduated high school.
Don't forget that
Yeah.
Texas A&M game.
I don't know that
season.
there's anything that would be closer.
Yeah.
Like 2012, they had their run, but it was like a sustained, survive against all of these teams.
Yeah.
And it culminates in the most disastrous, like, conference championship game anyone's ever played.
Mhm.
And then
An
that's
absolute
not
calamity.
true because Ohio State had a worse one later on.
Wait,
But
hold on. I got to find Eric Collins here.
Oh no! Disaster!
Thank you.
and then 2013's whatever, in 2014, the buildup for that Michigan State game in which your head coach punts from Michigan State's 28-yard line after recovering a fumble.
That was dope.
Solid 8-yard net there.
What a weird team. Spontaneously combustible.
Very
but
much
it was
so.
a weird and different time. All right. By the way, a couple Black Cat writes it. He says, wow, I have to check this Barrett's place out. Wonder if Black Cat's ever been there before, or like, hangs out there a whole bunch or anything like that.
I've gone there a lot.
It is a wonderful, wonderful place. Let's spend like 5 minutes on this very interesting, little dichotomy here with your friend Joey, Aaron Rodgers,
Yes.
and your friend Mike Schaefer, Aaron Rodgers. Both of you had excellent relationships.
I don't want him to be my friend.
With Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers has been on. He's been well documented lately. He's said a lot. I don't want to talk about my wife, who is definitely real. Stop asking me about my wife. This is weird. I don't know why you guys care about this so much. I don't want to talk about him, but has weirdly and maybe purposefully given people these breadcrumbs of like who she is and her name, which is Brittany, which he has told us before. And then yesterday he went on McAfee's show and said he wants to stay fit at age 42 so his wife will, enjoy him, to put it a little bit safe for work in that regard. And so once again, we have another instance here of Aaron Rodgers definitely not wanting to talk about his wife, but yet talking about his wife yet again. And people wonder why and he wonders why it's a sideshow when, like his career at this point at age 42 is a sideshow. I wonder why.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine why anyone would wonder.
Why should anyone care about this?
Great question. I don't know, but
McAfee.
Aaron Rodgers keeps talking about it. He won't shut up about it.
Why should this be a topic?
Definitely don't ask me about my wife, guys. I don't want to talk about it. I am starting to think with every passing time he talks about this, I think he's doing a bit. Like, I think he's baiting people into asking, so that they ask him about it, and she's not real. And at the end, he's going to come out and say, I got you. You guys were chasing nothing for 4 years. She doesn't exist.
What if it's the movie Her and he's fallen in love with an AI thing? And then now, in order to justify this love that he has to invent this mystery woman. He needs to drop enough breadcrumbs so that he can feel better about the fact that he's fallen in love with an AI.
Okay. That's in the possibility range. Yeah.
I think there's at least,
it's possible.
On one of his trips to one of his vision quests that he goes on,
his darkness retreats,
and then he's put this whole thing together. And now, it's like when people get caught in a lie, but the only way out is to continue to dig deeper into the lie.
Yeah.
That might be where we're at.
I really think so.
Except most people are like, dude, we don't care.
I know, but then he's
like, but so in then case he says they stuff like care, this. Here's some more information.
He said, yeah, exactly. He says, quote, my private life is my private life, and it's going to stay that way. But the entitlement to information about my private life is so bleeping ridiculous and embarrassing. He says Aaron Rodgers, who keeps purposefully leaving breadcrumbs about his private life.
Who goes on McAfee and openly talks about it.
He says later in the podcast, quote, I had a public relationship. How did that work out? For those unversed, he previously dated Olivia Munn and Shailene Woodley. And then, in fact, Rodgers hinted that once he is done with his NFL career, fans and media will not often see him saying, quote, when this is all done, I'm out. You won't see me.
That is not true.
That would be a lie, Aaron. Correct.
You will see him more. He will,
what's that? Aaron Rodgers is hosting Jeopardy again?
He will replace Shaq as the guy in the General commercials with the spiffy, car insurance ads. That's going to be Aaron.
For a great insurance rate online.
I don't know if insurances are going to pick him up again since State Farm got rid of him in favor of Patrick Mahomes.
Some a little lower, not quite a prestige insurance.
Joey, when's the last time you yelled discount double check?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Rodgers!
Rodgers! It's a highlight
of the best part of the
long
commercial
time ago.
For sure.
Long time
on
ago.
The window.
Rodgers! Discount double check! Great commercial. Kyle writes in, he says, she only shows up when he's on shrooms.
It's possible.
It could be just a figment of his imagination. I'm not sure. But
he's got a very active imagination.
He does. Let's not ask him about
They probably met on his retreat in Oregon.
And this is totally weird. Like, it's, we definitely aren't talking about his football playing career because it doesn't particularly matter much anymore. but yet he wants to not make his whole life a sideshow. And here we are talking about his sideshow.
Here we
go
are
again.
getting tickets to the circus.
Yep, we got him. You're all invited, and access is free. Tickets are indeed free.
You have to go even when you don't want to.
Rattlesnake Ron writes in, Rogers will be selling gold bullion and survival branded generators on AM radio 24/7.
I love that prediction so much.
It's pretty good. I can see it.
He definitely.
I just wonder what the next thing he's gonna get into, because he's always changed his personality. Like he changes his haircut, like he changes his voice. He gets into these weird like side bits sometimes. I have a wife; she's definitely real. I'm a huge stoner ayahuasca
I can see
guy.
him becoming like a straight up survivalist.
I can see him like I can see him going like further that direction, or just completely going full like capitalism, like Wall Street guy.
He's probably going to start his own conspiracy theory podcast.
I can see him opening an investment firm.
See, and I'm thinking about it like this is a guy who's going to try to have a hunting show at some point to prove he's just like you, but nothing about it will come off like he's just like you.
Look at me in my truck. I got this truck. I'm cool. Yeah, it could be literally anything for the next iteration of what we see from Aaron Rodgers, and we'll all watch and find out. All right, we'll be back. We're going to do the headlines a little bit early today because Sarah Baker Hansen's going to join us at 7:45. Don't forget to get your opinions in for I Have an Opinion coming up at 8. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, breaking news from the World Baseball Classic. The Republic of Korea is 1-0 in Pool C, and they have taken down Czechia this morning or whatever time it is there. I think it's in Korea. I believe the location of the game that they're playing.
I think it's
right
probably about like around almost 10 o'clock over there.
in the morning tomorrow.
No, in the evening.
In the evening
evening.
tonight. Okay, yeah, because they already played a game there. Australia, shout out Travis Pizzana, already beat whoever they played earlier on in the evening for them. Yeah, it was just Travis Pizzana. I don't know anybody else who's on Team Australia. That's for sure.
I thought there was
Although
at
we could
least
check
one
on
other notable player on Team Australia.
Oh, maybe we should check on World Baseball Classic rosters for a segment on the show today. But we must get out of Joey Colbert's way to do the headlines. Joey, what do we have?
First headline out in Florida. Golf cart driver arrested for DUI after wife falls out on the way home from club.
Okay. I mean, not a story we haven't heard before, especially involving golf carts in Florida. Does it make it all that less, interesting? But let's hear the second one.
I agree with that entire assessment.
I think you'll like the second one anyway. Man rescued by firefighters after getting stuck in phone box trying to order kebab.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like a Mad Lib, so just hit me with
It
that.
really does. Just like swap in this word, swap in that word.
Okay, the incident happened in Manchester, UK, when the man stepped into a classic red phone booth, hoping to use the phone inside. Hoping to use the phone inside to order food. I apologize.
That's all right.
However, not only did the booth contain a working phone, I am sorry. Okay. However, not only did the booth not contain a working phone, but the situation worsened when the doors shut and locked behind them, leaving him stuck inside. I am sorry.
So he got stuck in the phone booth.
Yeah, he did.
And then where does the kebab come into play? That's sort of my question. So let me read forward here.
One passerby told the outlet that the man had entered the phone box specifically to call for a kebab before becoming trapped.
Oh.
The door subsequently slammed shut behind him and locked.
Like ordering ahead.
He was ordering a kebab to the phone booth. Is that what I'm?
What if he was calling to do a pickup somewhere and he was on his way, and for some reason he doesn't have a phone?
Okay.
And so then he was going to or maybe this is a specific phone.
How does he know the phone number of the? I suppose he could just Google it. Also,
but if he can do that, can he order the kebab without having to
from
use
his cell phone?
Isn't it sort of interesting to you that Manchester has these red phone booths that still work? Like who would use it when you just said they have phones? They have phones in Manchester.
I'm assuming they have phones in Manchester.
I would certainly think they do.
So witnesses said the man was trapped in there for around an hour after the door locked, leaving him unable to get out. So friends accompanying him attempted to help, but were unable to open the door themselves.
It's almost like nobody uses those boxes anymore, and they're just kind of broken. It's very odd that the phone booth locked behind him as he was trying to order.
I am trying to think of the last time I used a public pay phone.
I never used one.
So I
assumed you hadn't. There's really almost no reason for you to.
I don't specifically remember the last instance, which is sort of sad because you really didn't know. I didn't denote that in my mind. Like this is the last time we'll ever use a payphone.
Well, I don't know that you would know that it would be ever, but there comes a certain time where there's life for me before having a cell phone and then life after, because it changes so much of what you do. I remember I would have to use the bank of cell phones outside the movie theater to call to get picked up after the movie ended.
Yeah.
Yep. Like that, I did a bunch. And so it's probably that would be my last one. But yeah, there's not like a very specific isolated.
Do you remember
moment.
Do you remember the bank of payphones at the airport?
Oh yeah.
That used to be such a big part of the airport.
Yeah.
You would get off the plane and they would just have a bank of phones there. My parents always tell me this story where I was playing around on that bank of phones at the airport and I I fell and like smashed my head on the ground, or like they prevented me from smashing my head onto the ground or something like that. And that is my thought when I think about the phone booths, when I think about payphones.
Trying to think of where it was last at. It was in that middle portion on either side of the gates, right? Like,
well, they had some there, and then I think they had like several of them when you walked into the actual
gate,
area
yeah,
of the airport. No, like the front doors.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which they will not have, I don't believe, in our new Omaha airport.
Yeah, the bank of them that I remember, and
Maybe
then
for
they sort of
nostalgia.
just turned it into like a cubicle working space.
Yes.
Was on the second floor of the
Yes.
Epley Airport. Like you go up the escalator, and then it's in
Yep.
that just sort of dead middle zone where
Mhm.
nothing really happened.
Right by Hudson,
Yeah,
kind of by
basically.
Hudson News.
Pretty much.
Is that why you named your kid that, by the way, for Hudson News?
No.
Okay, just thought of that.
I thought I have already informed you. I was just so proud of Sully Sullenberger for landing that
it
plane.
the
And,
Hudson.
I
Now,
Sully
if he would have landed it in the East, would you have named him East?
Easton, clearly.
Oh,
for
Easton.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Or East Bay, just after the delightful magazine that I would get for
Now that is a magazine.
Most of my childhood. Did you ever order anything out of that?
No, I don't think so. Maybe like an Under Armour shirt.
I'm pretty
once.
sure I got Tim Duncan basketball shoes off of an East Bay catalog.
Nice.
They were relatively on sale.
Nice.
The last pair of like basketball shoes I ever bought for like the high school team when I played.
Should we? Okay, why not? Let's take a very quick phone call here from Bucky, who wants to talk about payphones. Hi, Bucky.
What's up, fellas? Hey, I love the sports content. As soon as you said payphone, I was like, I'm calling these guys.
All right, what do you got?
Anyway, there was a time like in the 90s, there was even like a commercial where, they say, hey, you call collect. What's your name? But you would say like, hey, it's John, and we had a baby. It's a boy. You put it in the little thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'd be like, Mom, pick me up. Football practice is over. And so you get a collect call from Mom. Football practice is over. Come pick me up.
So weird.
Guys, keep up the good work. Love the new format. Love hearing you guys in the morning. Have a good one.
Thank you, Bucky. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's another part of my brain that I just completely like set aside, dormant, gone.
Yeah.
Payphones and all the things that came along with payphones.
1-800-COLLECT with Carrot Top.
Yeah.
All of those commercials.
Or like calling the
time and temperature.
Well, the time and temperature, but like to actually get people's numbers, like you could look it up in the white pages or the yellow pages, or you could just do like the directory where they would patch you to them. That was
I never did that, or I don't think I ever like called 0 or whatever it was to be able to do that.
Oh, I remember the number I called so much was the number to my little league, whatever. Like they had like a voicemail thing, and they would tell you if the games were on because of the weather or not. And I would just be so angry when they wouldn't update it.
And now I still get calls from Lincoln about softball, even though I haven't played softball.
Oh yeah, you got to get off that list.
The weather thing, yeah,
that's annoying. All right, we'll be back. Thank you, Joey. After this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. 7 o'clock hour, Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you, and Joey Colbert on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Later on in the hour, we'll talk to Sarah Baker Hansen about some local food. We have something going on as well at 1620thezone.com. Back for the second year in a row, the Omaha Food Fight, and we are calling on you to nominate your favorite spot in Omaha. Then we'll put them all in a bracket, and they'll fight it out there. It's presented by Union Bank and Trust. Nominations are open through next Thursday, so please send those in, whether it be via email or at 1620thezone.com. The bracket will come out the following Sunday, Monday, and then we'll be voting away for the next several weeks. Get into the bracket mood with us. 1620thezone.com, the Omaha Food Fight, brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. All right, football yesterday. That's right. We have football things to talk about. Was there any groundbreaking news? No. Let me leave it up to you, Schaefer. Would you like to talk about running backs or quarterbacks?
So let's get the running backs out of the way first.
Do you have a rant on this?
No,
Joey's moves.
I'm getting ready.
He's like, give it a go, get it up.
I feel like I've ranted enough about the running backs.
I agree. I'm at this point, there's nothing for me to do but just sit back and watch.
And then the answers from EJ Barthel only confirm that there's really nothing to be done or say. So let's just get into this, and then we can put a bow on it and we move on.
So Sam McEwen asked yesterday, I mean, the picture in the running back room is a bunch of guys who were not particularly recruited highly, with the exception of Isaiah Mosey, who was not recruited as a running back. Yes. And, I think there's a variety of different reasons for that, whether it's been strikeouts, the position, or, you've had to go down your board, I think, a little bit. That will never be admitted by Nebraska's coaching staff, and certainly not EJ Barthel, who goes spin zone mode on Nebraska's running back room and how it looks from a star perspective. Here is Barthel yesterday.
I think there's 5-star, the 4-star, 3-star. I get all that, but the reality is, do they have the traits that we were looking for, right? And so, yes, some of these kids were bypassed by the recruiting rankings and all that stuff. However, I think the evaluation is the evaluation. You know what I mean? And so I love the fact that these kids are motivated and they take it personal that they were overlooked. You know what I mean? You walk. We went to the high school clinic at PA. Myself, Coach Rule, and a couple other guys, and every guy was talking about Mekhi Nelson and that high school coach. How's Mekhi Nelson doing? How's he doing? How's the Scranton kid doing? You know what I mean? And so the Wilkes-Barre kid doing. So, there's definitely a chip on these guys' shoulder. I mean, Jamal Rule had no offers, before he came here. No Power 4 offers when he came here. So the fact that he's appreciative that we believed in him, you can see that in the way he practices.
Mike Schaefer's antennas went up at some point during that, after Barthel said that Jamal Rule had no Power 4 offers, and now he's frantically going to check the recruiting profile. Maybe it was just before Nebraska offered or whatever it was. But you hear it there from Barthel. They understand what they have in the room, and not that it's necessarily like the end all be all if you don't have a bunch of 4-star backs in the room. And I think where we're coming from, where the public is coming from, is, hey man, you could have gone out and maybe tried a little bit harder, done a little bit better, added another guy, or cared more about what you were bringing in. But they are doubling and tripling down at every single corner on this. And I think the one that maybe made my antennas go up, Schaefer, was like the evaluation is the evaluation. And it's hard for me to look around at what the industry says about these running backs, and then for them to say, yeah, well, they met our standard, they met our evaluation, and some other guys who were maybe rated a little bit higher didn't. Or at least that's what I'm to take from EJ Barthel there. So I get, like, at the same time, I understand doubling and tripling down on the guys that you have in the room, because there's nothing you could do about it now. I mean, like it or not, which most of us don't, there's nothing they could really do about it now. They're not adding anybody else. They have to roll with the guys that they have. And so it's probably best for them to instill confidence in those guys and to help give those guys a chip on their shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you have. This is what you chose to have. And that's the thing about this conversation that is sort of dumb is that, it's not just that they're rallying around what they have. They literally just chose this group. So, I mean, if it works, you're going to look really smart. When it doesn't work, it's not second guessing. It's not armchair quarterback. It's not any of that. It's a bunch of people that were like, you don't have a running back in your room to hand the reins to after you just had an All-American. What are you going to do with this? So, that's where it all has to play out. And we'll see what that looks like. I mean, it's not that they can't evaluate running backs or that they didn't attempt to recruit running backs.
Well, yeah, I actually think that they can evaluate running backs. It's just for whatever reason, maybe you could speak more to this than me, Schaefer, but like maybe the board isn't wide enough. It feels like there's like one or two big targets that they kind of go after every single year, and they always end up short on them.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had, they would tell you that they basically helped find Kawan Lacey. I don't know that they found him, but he certainly wasn't the level of recruit that he ended up being when he transferred to Ole Miss, and we know that talent. I mean, if anyone who watched any college football,
oh my God,
past year,
I was. That was the most excited I have been about the position in their time here when he was committed to the class. Right. I'm like, whoa, this is the future right here. And it turns out he would have been because he's really good. Yeah.
So it's, like on one hand, they're obviously able to see talent, but they haven't been bringing it in waves. I mean, Jamal Rule is the first running back. I guess Jamarian Parker sort of falls in this category, but that was a unique situation, and there was rumblings when Nebraska got him that Arkansas had pulled out. Other teams weren't as interested as they were with his earlier film. He ended up getting dinged as a senior in high school with the evaluation, and he's sliding down, recruiting boards because this was a former 4-star that then becomes a mid-level 3-star. And you're like, that seems kind of weird. He comes to Nebraska, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And so he leaves. You have Connor Booth. You have Mekhi Nelson. You have Isaiah Mosey, who wasn't recruited to play running back. You have Quentin Ives. None of those guys had a Power 4 offer. So he made that remark about Jamal Rule. I was like, Nebraska wasn't even the first Power 4 school to offer him. They offered him in a reaction to Wisconsin and Syracuse offering him the day earlier.
I don't know what he was referencing.
He was referencing when he visited Nebraska the first time. He hadn't had an offer.
Gotcha.
And I knew it was going to be something like that. And it doesn't really matter. It's just at some point, either your bets have to work, or you have to stop making them, or you take the money away from the guy gambling poorly. So figure out however you want to align those things up. They have to, like, Mekhi Nelson has to be a success for them.
So let's just go full analogy here. All right, you've arrived at the casino. Let's just say you have $100. You have $100. It's your own money. You sit down at the table. Where are they at in the process of the $100 right now?
Well,
you've burned through some dollars at this point, and you're getting down to, your last few hands.
It feels like if let's say they're playing a table game, they're putting a little bit of money on the primary bet, which is we need a running back, but then they're putting a lot of their money on the side bet in hoping that the dealer will also show a couple.
Hey man, I love the side bet.
Yeah, well,
I love the side bet.
It's great when it hits.
It is awesome when it hits.
And when it's not hitting, it's like, hey, I lost an extra $20 on that hand.
Yeah.
And it goes pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. So what's the equivalent to the side bet that they're doing?
Well, I think that's like betting on like our evaluation is so strong that even if no one else is interested in these guys, we can turn them into stars.
Yeah.
Maybe not even stars, just serviceable running backs. Some of it is also, I don't understand how you looked at what you had in 2024 with the running back whose name is now escaping.
Dowdell.
Yeah, I kept wanting to say Darren Diedrich.
They forgot about it yesterday too.
Dante Dowdell.
Like I'm pretty sure Barthel in his comments went through that exact same thought process that you just had, and he forgot the name Dante Dowdell and then eventually remembered it too.
So you have Dante Dowdell, and again, he's not like, I'm not pining for you exactly had to have Dante Dowdell, but I think Sam was on a couple weeks ago, and he basically, like, they lacked a running back that was similar to that in those short yardage situations is big enough and strong enough to fall forward for a yard or two, or can propel himself, as he liked to jump over the line to do so.
He did
to get you that yard or two.
He loved being in the air
in those sort of spots. Like that wasn't necessarily Emmett Johnson's game or the best way to utilize him. There was a lot of great ways to utilize him.
I like the setup that they had at running back that year.
Yeah.
I like.
I don't understand, and it couldn't have cost that much to find your version of that, in the portal or whatever you had to do. And maybe that's what Jamal Rule is supposed to be, but I find it really hard to believe that as a freshman when he's not physically that big to begin with.
And help me remember, if you go back, I mean, Dowdell was coming off of his freshman year at Oregon, and he had played sparingly.
Yeah, I hadn't played much.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, just add another guy to that. Doesn't even matter how, like, with a little bit of experience, and throw him in the mix, and I feel quite a lot better about the situation.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite a lot, but definitely better about the situation now than I do.
And this all could very well work out. It just comes back to, for me, in a lot of ways, they are really, really like, this is our system. This is definitely going to work, even though we haven't really been able to show you for 2 entire recruiting cycles a lot of successes with guys we've identified and developed.
Well,
so far.
Cards are on the table now.
Yeah, no, it's
right?
we're very much in a prove it time for them, where a lot of this roster are guys that they went out and got, and you don't have the holdovers really anymore. I mean, there's a few. Justin Evans.
I wonder if let's just say, we go down this road this year and it doesn't work out. Like they don't get enough production from their running back room. Do you think they'll come back next year with a fresh mind on this and change their
I think
approach?
they'll come back with an entirely different room.
Right, but I'm not even talking about a room. I'm talking about an approach, right?
And I'm talking about the room as in the head coach replaces the head of that room,
right,
and a different approach.
But it does feel like the head coach is responsible for the approach.
Oh yeah,
of the position. Like this is, I think it's partly like a cost thing and partly we love our evaluation, but like maybe next year it's like, fine, if this doesn't work, fine, you guys are right. We're going to go out and throw a bunch of chips into star portal running back and let that guy carry the ball 26 times, which is opposite of everything they've done so far.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if that would be the case.
I think they very much want 3 or 4 guys every year that can be sort of their running backs. Like I don't think they want the bell. Like Emmett Johnson was born out of necessity.
100%.
But then what's fascinating to me is that, okay, you want this sort of multiple running back approach, and you have Emmett Johnson, yet you aren't able to find other ways to work other running backs in. And I'm sure I'm going to get a text from Severe. A large part of that is they couldn't stay on the field offense. Like they didn't run enough plays because on defense, every drive was like a 14-play drive that ate up 8 minutes of clock. And on offense, every drive was a 14-play drive that ate up 6 minutes of clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so they finished with like 54 total plays in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just everything about 2025.
And not really by design either. Like you can't give up 16-play drives on defense.
Well, and then you turn around and you're just like, oh, cool. That was a 2-drive quarter. It's like I'm watching Army play Navy over here.
Seriously. I mean, I did this a few weeks ago, but the drive chart is so funny on defense for Nebraska this year. They had multiple drives that they faced on defense that were over 17 plays. There was a 17-play drive. Do you remember? Well, there was a 16-play drive where Michigan basically just iced out the game in the fourth quarter. There was a 17-play drive. Where is it? Because I know there were 3. There was the 17-play drive in the UCLA game. First quarter or I guess it was probably second quarter. And then there was a 17-play drive. I think it was earlier in the season as well. Maybe it wasn't that many. 14 in the Houston Christian game that went for 28 yards. Do
Wasn't
you
there a
remember
long
that drive?
Northwestern drive, or am I misremembering that?
Michigan State.
Okay.
Michigan State, 17 plays, 75
I know there was
yards
one at
over
home.
9 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Which is basically an entire quarter. So, yeah. 15 against Northwestern. 15 for 67 for about 8 minutes. Just baffling stuff. So some of it is the defense. You're right. I mean, like, we have to include that in the conversation.
All of it to say the running backs are going to be a point of conversation like everything else. And I think Nebraska's way of fixing the running back room was to try to get really good on the offensive line. And
we'll see.
Betting on Jeep Wade and whatever they're going to do with their line and the run concepts is their way of like freshening this thing up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, very much running back by committee approach is what they want.
Chris writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox, subject line, opposite of everything they've done. Winning big, important games would also be the opposite of everything this coaching staff has done so far. Let's try it. It might be worth finding out.
They have 3 opportunities to do that in 2026.
Will not be short on opportunity, that is for sure. All right, we'll take a break. We'll play our little weird game that we made up about labeling college basketball teams and saying how far we think they'll go in the tournament compared to public perception.
Yeah.
If that sounds convoluted, just wait till the segment happens. After this on 1620 The Zone. Sarah Baker Hansen's going to join us in about 15 minutes here to talk about Omaha's fish fry scene. She's got a story up right now on the Flatwater Free Press, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's talk about college basketball. We have college basketball team reviews. This is what we do over at 1620 The Zone. So we came up with this random idea yesterday where we're going to place labels on these college basketball teams and see what we think. And these are supposed to be correlated to common perception, common belief on these teams and how far they might go in the tournament. I've run this through Mike Schaefer's eyes. He doesn't seem to have many problems with my perception of the public perception, which is good.
There's probably 2 teams off the face of it where I would maybe change things, but I'm otherwise fine.
But once again, the point of the game is that it's going to be maybe a little bit different.
So you'll find out very quickly which those are.
We are going to select a couple of these and, maybe have a discussion about them. So let's not explain it anymore and actually do it. All right. A team with Final Four public perception. UConn. -1, -2. Obviously, you can't go much higher than.
Yeah, no,
Fine.
You really can't go
Let's
higher.
just end it at Final Four, right? So you can't go higher than Final Four, even though if you're picking them to win the national championship.
I would go -2. Like if they're a 2, like if they aren't a 1, and even if they are a 1, like there's 4 or 5 matchups that I think could be problematic for them. I still wonder what version of them you're getting in some of these games. I'm well aware that their non-conference record more than speaks for itself, but the version of them that has played the last couple months, I just don't believe that they could just flip something and be someone else. But who knows? Maybe the Big East tournament comes around and it's like they just decide to be a different team.
So my thing with them is, unless you have injury, of which they really haven't, I don't really care if you win conference games by 4.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just think that's a little bit of a different thing. And I also think UConn is one of those teams who's a little bit guilty at times of not having it fully hooked up.
Yeah, they play with their food a lot.
They do.
And I just don't think that they're going to be able to. I don't think they're so talented that they're going to be able to get.
They are that is definitely a complicating factor because I don't think they're as good as their teams that won the national championship. But I do think they're really, really good and could beat just about anybody in college basketball. So if the perception is Final Four, it does feel like they're on track to be the 4th 1 seed at this point.
Them or Florida. I think there's only 2 teams that we're discussing at this point.
I agree. I agree with the perception.
So you're saying Final Four?
I'm saying Final Four.
I can't get there, and I might be entirely wrong on that. But if they are the 4th number 1 seed, they feel like the first number 1 seed that exits the tournament.
All right, here's a team that people say, "Oh yeah, I could see them in the Elite 8." Illinois. Do you agree with the public perception? I think they're going to the Elite 8.
Yeah, I'll stay with that. I think if I was going to do anything, it'd be +1 because or just the options to me are either +1 or stay at Elite 8. I don't think I would do the -1 on them out of this group specifically.
I will.
Yeah, no, we're very much the 2 teams we started with are ones that we've been very vocal on here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
-1
totally
or 2 for Illinois.
-2
could potentially
round to 32.
I'll say -1. I'll say that's a second weekend team, but by the hair on their chinny chin.
They're a fascinating seed to me because I think there's definitely a world where if they're playing in that 3-6 game and you get North Carolina or somebody like that, they feel susceptible to me of not showing up in a particular game or in what is sort of the conversation about Illinois when it gets to the Big Ten tournament. They don't get to the free throw line 31 times. And it's harder for them to score because Keaton Wagler isn't just putting in 45 points, So it's they're a really interesting team because I think they need game flow to go in certain ways for them sometimes. And so
I don't think they're not very dependent on getting to the free throw line.
They definitely get to the free throw line a lot. I don't think
they did against Nebraska.
I don't think they've been playing near the offense that they have maybe middle of the season. Now they had the big game against UCLA that was overtime dependent, but otherwise, like I just feel like you put them on and they can go through some real stretches for a team that's top 5 offensively.
Number one.
No, I mean they
Literally
go through some
number one.
stretches where it's like this looks way harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, so I just checked. They are 236 in free throw rate. You know, like that's
not that high.
No, it's very low actually. So I don't like I don't look at them as like, oh, they got to get to the free throw line to win games.
Yeah.
I feel like they're more of a, even though they're big, like I feel like they're more of a fast paced spread, even though their tempo is not high at all. Like they're kind of spread it around, like got to shoot threes in order to win, that type of thing.
They'll definitely shoot a lot of threes.
And so, yeah, I don't think that's particularly conducive to getting to the free throw line. But they're dependent on that side of it more than like how the game is officiated, to me anyway. So I don't have like a trust there, like I do with some of these other teams. Certainly UConn. I mean, I think they're on different levels to me. So yeah, those are the two teams that we've been the most vocal about. Let's take another elite. I think this team, maybe you disagree, has elite 8 perception for a variety of reasons, and most of which are not really related to this team. Michigan State.
I would probably go -1 if I did anything here.
I'd go -1, potentially 2.
Yeah, I don't know that I would go 2, but I would go -1. I'm like not that impressed by them.
Nope.
Like if people tell me, hey, it's really tough for me to see Nebraska make it to the Elite 8, but Michigan State can definitely do it, I don't get that. I really don't. Like they get there in wildly different ways, but I think they're relatively similar teams. And so I think their upside is relatively similar is how I would sort of phrase it.
I don't disagree with that.
So I don't see Michigan State going on the Tom Izzo run that people talk about that doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, I think that's a potential second weekend team, but not much further than that. So I'm going -1 for Michigan State. Is there anybody in the Final Four or the Elite 8 perception that you'd like to talk about and significally bump up or down?
Purdue's looked horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, they should have lost to Northwestern last night, but Northwestern couldn't throw a pass in the last minute and a half of that game.
Purdue was down for like the whole game.
Yeah, and so Purdue has looked poor lately. Houston, I would maybe do a +1.
Quickly on Purdue, like I'm actually okay with that perception.
Really?
I'm actually okay with the like if you give me Purdue and you say Elite 8, I'll be like, yeah, I could see that. I really, really could. And this is not like what could you see, because then we're talking about ceilings. But I do think like maybe this is a better way to sort of put this segment. Like, where is the overwhelming majority of, like, if you do a whole bunch of sims, where is their season ending the overwhelming majority of the time?
Yeah.
I would say Elite 8 for Purdue.
See, I just don't think they're consistent enough. Like that's one of the things that it strikes me about this team is that you get a wildly different version of it a fair amount. And then lately you haven't seen the upside version of it in a while. Braden Smith's been bad, like detrimental.
I mean, he scored like his first points with like 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, and so it is a tough deal for them when, again, that was a team that offensively really, really efficient team.
If I told you outside of Michigan, Purdue went the furthest of any Big Ten team in the NCAA tournament, would you be surprised by that?
Yeah, I would.
I wouldn't be.
Yeah. I think that Illinois, Michigan State, and Nebraska all have a better chance of going further than this current version of Purdue.
Okay. Iowa State, you were going to talk about them. Like I'm, Elite 8 perception. Like I'm +1 on them. Like I think, I think there's a very decent chance they could end up in the Final Four.
Mm-hmm. I'm +1 on Houston. I'm probably good with Iowa State at the Elite 8. Florida, I'm probably a +1 on as well. Like I could see that, going to the Final Four.
All right. So then there's a big,
clump.
There's a big clump of Sweet 16, and then like I could see them winning one game but not going to the second weekend type of teams. Let's go through a few of them here. Let's do Nebraska, which I think if the common perception is they'll say they're going to win not just one, but 2 games in the NCAA tournament. They're going to end up in the second weekend. And I generally agree with it.
Same. I don't have a +1 or a -1 on
Yeah,
it.
I think
this
that's
is
right.
largely what they are. I think they'll run into a more than likely just more complete team for a Thursday, Friday matchup.
Could very easily see him losing that second game, that round of 32 game. Could less easily see him losing that first game, that round of 64 game.
I think they're built to be a problem for whatever 13, 14 seed that they're going to
but not out of the equation.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's nobody that's
nobody is impervious to this.
Yeah,
right?
when Purdue and Virginia loses one seeds, anyone can lose to any team at any time.
Exactly. Vanderbilt.
I have them as a somehow losing to
your automatic
16 seed first 4 teams.
This was the automatic for you yesterday. Actually, this is the reason why we're even doing this. You were just like, they're losing in the first round. I thought, I don't care who they're playing.
Yeah,
they're losing in the first round. Yeah, I don't think they're a Sweet 16 team, but I'm not going to pick them.
Just a -1.
I'm not going to pick them blindly to lose the first game. That feels like a little irrational to me.
Blind.
I love that
loss.
That's the reason why this game exists, to be completely honest with you. I think BYU is an interesting one. So BYU has second weekend perception, but you talk about inconsistencies, and my God, I don't know what we're going to get. They are led, however, by one of the best players in the country.
They feel like they could be an 8 seed by the time the bracket comes out. And then, if you're telling me BYU UConn plays in the second round, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, BYU is easily going to, that's what I would do. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. But they beat Iowa State. They've given games to other teams.
They're a bracket matrix.
And then they've lost to UCF, Cincinnati.
They're a bracket matrix 7 now. And they will be such an interesting case study because, like you said, with the right matchup, they could end up in the Sweet 16.
I want them to stay at 7 or 8, and not be at 6. I wouldn't love that for Nebraska.
They will be a healthy pick to end up in the Sweet 16. And then, like you said, there's been a couple of our bracket sims that have popped up right away, and it's like, oh, BYU versus Nebraska in the round of 32. You're going to be in for a long one. It's going to be a tight game.
And then I would just say they default to the exhibition result. Nebraska moves on.
Nebraska wins, and Rick Bass is the number 1 overall pick.
Look at that.
Remember what Kevin Young said earlier?
He throws down his third dunk.
that is true. One-handed and barely by the tip of his fingers. There was, I think, 1 or 2 more teams that I really wanted to talk about here. Kansas is one of them.
I'm fine with them at Sweet 16. If I did anything, it'd be -1.
I could +1 them.
Yeah.
I could +1 them.
I wouldn't push back hard on it, but if you had them at the Elite 8, I would -1 it. So I think that Sweet 16 feels fair.
The other team that I really wanted to get to, I think in this set, there's like 2 or 3 more, but we're running out of time here. I don't even think I put them on this list for some reason. St. John's.
Yeah, you don't have them on here. I would say Sweet 16.
St. John's the bracket matrix 6 right now.
Yeah, I could see them beating a 3.
Absolutely.
I mean, if that's the matchup that Nebraska gets, I don't know that I love that. That's a team that I think is a tough draw for them.
And then there's some not going past the first weekend perception teams. Let's do this. Miami of Ohio, our dear friends. Nobody is going there will be a swath
on this.
There will be a swath of people who say they will not win a game and they will not be close. And then there will be a swath of people who say, I'm taking them to go to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think they have the ability to get to the Sweet 16. So I would say +1.
Yeah, I could +1 them.
If they happen to be the 11 and they get a 6, or if they're a 12 and they get a 5, I mean, these are all possibilities.
The other mid-major, quote unquote, that is making noise this year is St. Louis, SLU, and they, I think they have the sort of perception of I really can't see them getting past the first weekend. Where do they end up? They're an 8 right now.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think
which is hard.
They're going to end up catching the matchup that you don't want.
The 8s and 9s and 7s, it's just tough. It's just really tough. Speaking of a potential 7, Villanova.
They feel like a
Villanova just lost one of their best players.
If Creighton ends up matching up where they get Georgetown or whoever it is, and then Villanova, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Creighton won 2 games there.
Creighton ends up in the semifinals.
When I've watched Villanova, I just haven't been that impressed by it.
People have been saying that all year. Now they lost Hodge, and it's just you're forced to just like ding them for it because you were already dinging them for
They're
it.
not bad. They're just not like, I don't know. I have to like,
Nothing stands out about them. I agree.
I
Yeah.
just think there's such a gap between, like you say, UConn is here. I don't put St. John's that far underneath UConn. And then it feels like there's a pretty sizable gap, and then Villanova,
Mhm.
and then a much, much smaller gap, everyone else in the Big East.
Yeah.
So they're like in their,
not much, like Villanova's on the plane by themselves, like comfortably, given what they've done this year. But yes.
well, just in terms of the gap size between St. John's to Villanova and then Villanova to, let's say, Seton Hall.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just reduced the gap in half, I suppose.
All right, let's take a break. We can get to some more of those later on. Obviously, ran out a little bit of time there, but let's come back. Let's talk about fish fries, folks, after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Culver with you here on this Thursday. Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, and on 1620thezone.com. It is a big time of year around Omaha, and there's tons of great stuff coming out at the Flatwater Free Press, and that is where Sarah Baker Hansen joins us on loan from right now. And we're talking fish fries and other kinds of fries, I suppose, around this time of the year. Sarah, good to talk to you. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me back on the show. It's been a minute.
Yeah, of course. So you have the review out as of today. And the topic obviously is the impetus of it is the fish fries around Omaha, which are sort of famous. And I do want to talk about, but also there's some other stuff going on. Tell us about some of the spin-offs to these that we've seen around the metro popping up.
Yeah, so every year I build, which is, I will be totally transparent and honest with you, a really time-consuming list of more than, I think it includes 47 fish fries around the Omaha area. Incredible. And I've done it for a few years now. The list just keeps getting bigger. More and more people, parishes, nonprofits, church, social halls, they're all doing Lenten fish fries, which you're right, are kind of famous in Omaha. And so people have always asked me, well, the main thing people have asked me to do, which I categorically refuse to do, is rank the fish fries. I'm never going to do that.
I want to get into the business of ranking churches. Probably a bad idea.
It just seems like a recipe for disaster, honestly.
It does.
So instead, what I did is, as I build this list, I notice every year that there's more and more fish fries that have kind of diversified their menus beyond just fried fish and French fries. And so I decided to write a story. The Flatwater Free Press ran my list of fish fries, which is live on flatwaterfreepress.org right now, along with my story about a handful of fish fries, that one of which I went to and two of which I interviewed folks about, that basically serve anything and everything. Some of them serve fried fish, but they focus on dishes other than fried fish. And so I thought that was kind of a fun way to kind of explore Omaha's fish fries during Lent.
What of those places that you went to that don't just do the traditional fish, kind of what were the offerings, and what did you have and what stood out?
Yeah, so I went to the Greek Orthodox St. John the Baptist Greek Orthodox Church, which is kind of right on the edge of downtown. And they do have fried fish, but the majority of their menu is traditional Greek foods. So they have a dish called fish plaki, which is like an oven-baked fish, but it has this sauce over the top of it, sort of a red sauce that has kind of a sweet and sour flavor to it, which sounds kind of unusual, is kind of unusual, but it's really good. Olive oil, tomatoes, onions, garlic, lots of spices like over this fish. And it's just, the fish stays so tender because of the way it's cooked. It's so flavorful. And the other thing that the Greek Orthodox fry is known for is, I don't even know how many tables there were, probably like 5 or 6 tables, like long tables together, covered in desserts. And so a lot of the members of the parish make all these desserts. So there's baklava, there are Greek cakes, there are, all kinds of different like desserts you've probably never had before. I know I hadn't. And then there's also like cheesecake and cookies and, chocolate cake and all kinds of stuff, but just an enormous amount of desserts that go for $5 each. And I just thought this is a really fun experience. They serve Greek beer, they have Greek music. It's a whole thing. But there's also pasta feeds that take place around town. One that's been going on for 24 years that I mentioned in the story, with sort of secret recipe spaghetti sauces that the men who cook have been, some got from the Omaha Sons of Italy, all just the sauces that they simmer all day long on Friday before the pasta feed on Friday night. So I don't know, it's kind of fun to see sort of like what else is out there, where else you can go if you don't want to have to wear your worst clothes and smell like fried fish for the rest of the evening after you go to a fish fry.
It's funny. We were talking about this earlier, Sarah, like this, you there are different kinds of fish fries. Like they are
sure.
not all the rowdy ones, or where people are flowing out into the hallways and stuff like that. But you certainly have this like image and obviously smell and taste in your, like I wonder from your perspective in visiting some of these places, how much of the draw to the fish fry is actually like the fish and church and community, and how much of it is just like the the vibe of it and the feeling that you've always been there.
I feel like you want to say what you're not saying, but you are kind of saying is the draw is the cheap beer and the meat wheel.
Well, that's definitely the material part of it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I wanted to write about the sort of a different side, because the way, I've been to a lot of, I probably, everybody and a lot of your listeners have been to Holy Name.
Yep.
That's probably the definitive fish fry in Omaha, if you're going to say there is one, the biggest, the longest lines, the beer flows like water, and people are there to have a really good time. And I think a lot of people do. And, it draws well beyond just the members of that church. It draws, people from every corner of Omaha to have that kind of singular experience, I think. And so, I think a lot of fish fries are like that. They're sort of designed in the style of that fish fry.
Yep.
But I do think that, St. John the Baptist was not as crowded. There was no line when we got there. But I thought that there was still big tables of families. Everybody seems to know each other. All the volunteers working there were really welcoming to us. And I think no matter what fish fry you go to, that is something you're going to find too. And some of the organizers talked about how, they don't draw like thousands of people, but two of the three fish fries that I write about in my story today, regularly, kind of at the height of Lent season, which I would say, we're in it right now,
yep.
Draws up to 400 people. So it's still not a small crowd. I mean, they're still serving a lot of food, and making a lot of food. And I think that's, that sort of experience. If you don't want to eat fried fish, you certainly don't have to. There's lots of places now that also serve pizza. Mac and cheese makes regular appearances. So if you wanted to go around Omaha and try things other than fried fish, you would have no shortage of places to do that.
What was sort of your experience like? Were fish fries part of the thing for you growing up? Was it something you came into here as a food reviewer in Omaha? That, and then of the 47, how many would you venture to guess you've been to at this point?
Oh, man. Well, no, I didn't grow up with fish fries. My mom was raised Catholic, but my sister and I were not. So, but we lived in a neighborhood where a lot of people, particularly one of the ones I wrote about was the Pious Pasta Feed. And a lot of the kids in the neighborhood I grew up with went to that school. And so I was familiar with that. I would say I probably first went to a fish fry probably like when I was in high school with friends whose families went to fish fries. So, I've been to a lot. Gosh, I don't know exactly how many I've been to. I'm looking at my own list to try to figure that out. I would say probably over the years of when I started going as a teenager periodically to when I've gone with my friends as an adult, maybe like 15 different ones. Yeah. People have their spot that they like to go. They try to like keep it under the radar. So I've been to some sort of the smaller ones. I've been to Holy Name, Holy Ghost. Now the Greek Orthodox. There's some fun ones out there. And also the other thing I noticed this year, one fish fry that I got several emails about, which isn't even really a fish fry, but it was a taco. It was like a fish taco night. And I thought that was kind of cool. There are a couple of fish fries around South Omaha that kind of focus more on Mexican food. So
it's evolving.
Lots of different types of food.
Yeah, it's evolving.
Yeah.
Always.
And I think that kind of speaks to, the people want to eat other stuff rather than just fried fish. Like if you want to go to a bunch of fish fries during the season, you probably don't want to eat the exact same plate every week. And
That's
so
true.
when you look at the menus, you can see people have made changes to make that possible.
Always good to have options, that's for sure. Sarah Baker Hansen, you
Yeah.
can find all this at flatwaterfreepress.org, the review of the new stuff that's going on, and then, of course, the fish fry list as well. Sarah, excited to do this once a month, and there's always something going on in the food world in Omaha. So thanks for doing it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut her off there. It'd be like, bye.
Yeah.
But my bad.
That's all right.
But we do have to go. I have an opinion. Get in your opinions, 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Call or text that number, tweet at Happer Show, or at Happen Schaefer, excuse me. Dang, I've made that mistake in a while. We're back after this with I Have an Opinion on 1620 The Zone. All right, just past 8 here on a Thursday morning. Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Joey Colbert with you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. I have an opinion. I apologize I haven't informed people incessantly about I have an opinion. But soon enough, we will get to come to the communal understanding that it is at Thursday at 8 o'clock, and we will be having opinions during this period of time. So send them in, 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can text that number if you'd like to send your opinion in that way. We will read them at HappenSchafe on Twitter, or leave a comment on the YouTube stream. We go to the text line first. What an interesting first opinion.
All right. We like interesting.
I love interesting.
402 texter. I wonder what Mike Schaefer will think about this. I have an opinion. Nebraska should turn down an invitation to the NCAA tournament.
Oh, wow.
To return to Las Vegas and defend their crown title. What do you think?
I think it is.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
An interesting idea.
They have an opportunity to go back to back.
Why does this sound like a great idea to you?
I love when teams go for the title defense.
Yes, as opposed to winning a new title.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be no title. Everyone knows that.
Well, we don't know.
I guess that's true. You don't know.
We have no idea.
You don't really know.
I think they should play up until they lose in the NCAA tournament, then petition to play the winner of the crown this year in the Ultimate Crown Classic Championship, the CCC. Last year's crown winner awaits this year's crown winner.
Now, what claim would Nebraska have? Oh, okay. What claim would this Nebraska team have to this year's crown ultimate winner? They didn't win the crown this year. Unless, of course, they skip the NCAA tournament and go to the crown.
I'm saying they play the NCAA tournament, and then no matter what, the previous year's crown winner then plays the current year's crown winner.
No, but what I'm saying is why would Nebraska last year be involved in this mega crown championship thing you're talking about?
They won the crown last year.
I know, but the team that is happening on the floor in front of us does not exist anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You just play the school again.
Okay. Even though
there's no rationale. There's no rationale for any of it.
I thought you wanted to do this.
No.
Oh, you don't actually.
I prefer the NCAA tournament.
Oh.
Hating on the crown, Schaefer.
Yeah, I just do what you do.
No,
I
didn't do that.
Did.
I just completely
now
ignored
you love the crown.
No. I just completely ignored the crown.
The crown.
No, I actually don't care one way or the other. I'd prefer it if they did, but
yeah, because you don't want.
There's too many tournaments.
Not really. I mean,
3.
There's not really too we've had a
CBI
contraction of the tournaments. No, I don't.
Yeah, so
I don't think so.
We're still at 3.
And the NIT was. Remember the NIT had some sort of weird ending last year. I can't really, but I remember 2 mid-majors getting to the finals, and there was like a buzzer beater. I'm almost positive.
That does sound accurate.
Yeah. The NIT still does, I believe, exist.
Yeah, it still exists.
Sam writes in at HappenSchafe.
Did they play their finals in Vegas as well, though?
Unclear.
Did they change? Like they don't play. Yeah, they don't play in.
They don't play at the Garden anymore.
No. So I think they play in Vegas now.
They would have to have way too many logos on that Knicks court. Way too many logos.
They sneak the St. John's one in there too.
Yeah, there'd be 100 logos on there. There'd be no floor. It'd just be logos. Sam writes in at HappenSchafe. I have an opinion. They should have spent more time breaking down that Creighton and Butler agreed to just play around the Hinkle roof leak. There was not enough leak coverage. It woke Creighton Twitter up. I did notice that last night. There was not a whole lot of commentary regarding the game, partly because it started at 5, partly because the season is sort of a wash at this point, especially in the final game of the regular season. Nobody had many expectations. And then all of a sudden, everybody started to crawl out of the holes when the roof started leaking. What was going on? And then we never really heard about it again.
Yeah.
It was just like,
no,
there's a leak. Here's what's happening. The game is going to restart. Thad Matta and Greg McDermott are laughing about it. And the leak is over now. Well, did it continue to leak? Was there more condensation on the floor? Was there more water on the floor? nobody will know. They didn't cover it.
Nothing was really said in the radio broadcast as well. It just suddenly disappeared after those 3 minutes.
Is it such a common occurrence that it doesn't even warrant like real coverage of it anymore?
That's a great question. I don't know.
That may be the situation here. The only reason I was alerted to it is I happened to be scrolling through and YouTube both had tweets on
Leak? What's
it. With
going on?
basically like a 2-minute span. And I was like, well, this sounds delightfully weird.
And the way that it sounded, like the broadcasters, the TV broadcasters were like, they were like settling in for like a long delay. They were like, all right, what are we going to talk about?
I was prepared. I was getting myself prepared for that. I was like, oh man, an early tip, and then I got to stay late again.
Did not happen.
And the Jays went on a run and destroyed the Bulldogs.
People forget that is not an opinion. That's just
So,
fact.
The interesting thing though, when I first saw the tweet, is yours was like leak and all. And I've joked about this with you before. Like your tweets when you are watching something tell people
I give no context.
Generally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it always cracks me up. And then this one was just leak in all caps, ! Question mark.
I believe it was a leak. Question mark, exclamation.
And so then I was like, was there a news story leak? Was there another audio tape?
I gotta be honest with
I'm
you.
like bracing myself for like, okay, what dumb thing has happened here? And then scroll a little bit because I think Joey's, you might have had a follow-up to yours or something, but I think I saw Joey's second and he has explained that it was a roof leak. And I was like, oh, less interesting, but now I'm kind of curious. What does this mean?
I did not clarify that at all on Twitter, but I did say this has just been such a bizarre season, which it most certainly has been. And maybe that provided the context that you needed. But in that case, I was hoping that somebody out there would really perk their ears up and say, whoa, leak? What's going on?
What leaked?
Because oftentimes when I'm like, I would love to see a breakdown of how many of, like, just for example, like Twitter followers of mine care about Creighton / hate Creighton / really like Creighton, like, or / tolerate Creighton. I would love to see a breakdown of
the
it.
Pie chart.
Because I always feel like when I tweet about Creighton, I'm tweeting to like 90 people, which is
probably true.
Which is awesome. I love it. And there's like 6,000 people who respond every time, and they're like, I can't believe this guy's tweeting about Creighton. Turns out, guys, it's all I do.
It's definitely not all you do.
I work for the university.
It's most of what I do.
Well, you do a lot of Creighton stuff, but you tweet about other things.
Sometimes.
I would say
you tweet lyrics the other day.
I don't know. Let's go see. Should we do a
this needs to be a segment.
A Happer Twitter audit of the week?
I like this idea.
All right. So lots of we are doing a radio show.
Yeah. I mean, so that's part of it. Like you take those out.
Yep.
And then you're obviously
I did like 5 tweets during the Creighton game last night.
Sure.
That's a very high volume for me. Talking about Hinkle's rims.
I'm assuming you don't tweet much during home games though, because you're
not at all
busy.
Not at all during home games. That is true. A lot of Don McLean, American Pie lyrics from the other night, a picture of Nick Baugh, a comment about how I don't like when they turn the lights off in baseball stadiums, a Creighton baseball tweet, making fun of a social media account, random commentary on a late night basketball game between Iowa State and Arizona, Gardettos, let's see, a Baylor Shireman. That's a
Creighton adjacent.
That's a Creighton tweet.
A Richard Bisaccia update.
Yep. Another reminder about how they reminded me about when Creighton got fouled or didn't commit a foul in the NCAA tournament, but then they said they did, and that was sad. Making fun of another Twitter account, that guy rock Twitter account, where they were just basically tweeting out videos of Aaron Kraft, who I don't know what people think of. I don't know why people would romanticize Aaron Kraft. Everyone hated Aaron Kraft.
They've also already done that. Like they don't need to redo Aaron Kraft.
I don't know. We just get a lot of Aaron Kraft stuff. And then just random commentary on a variety of different issues, subjects.
I would say Creighton's probably 35% of your Twitter feed.
Yep.
Is that fair?
I don't know. Maybe I'd say bump it up a little bit, but it's in that range.
Well, I think that includes like 25 to 30% of your Twitter feed is I have a radio show.
Yeah, I know. I don't tweet very consistently. I'm a sporadic tweeter. I got some spurtability.
Spurtability.
Yeah. Let's go back to the opinions. Here is Platcat. Well, this is another Creighton-related opinion. I have an opinion. Getting a McDonald's All-American commit today is good, and the sky is not falling on the hilltop. That's just an opinion. We'll see if it becomes fact.
We will see.
We will see if it becomes fact. Here's Luke on the text line. I have an opinion that Braden Smith wouldn't be such a flopper if he didn't have his little chicken legs. Do you think Braden Smith has little chicken legs?
I've never really considered them to be little chicken legs. I don't know that would alone affect his desire to flop all over the court. I think that's just a conscious mental decision on his part to try to gain free throws.
I think he does have little chicken legs.
I've never really considered it.
He's got just kind of long, skinny legs.
Yeah. He's
but I don't know what that has to do with his flopping capabilities.
You would think, if anything, if you're saying he has chicken legs, you're saying that he's not sturdy enough, so it's not even really flopping.
Yeah, he's just falling over.
No, I certainly don't think that's the case. I think it's the conscious effort to fall over.
So it's a conscious effort to fall over. He is flopping, and he is sturdy enough. That's what you're saying. That's your contention.
I think that he
doesn't have chicken legs.
Yeah, I don't have concern on his ability to stand and withstand some resistance.
Yeah.
I think that's capable.
So you think he's doing this on purpose?
I think it is on purpose.
What an accusation. Here is John on the text line. I have an opinion. All you people out there that are already drinking the Nebraska football Kool-Aid and believe this is the year that Rule gets them over the hump are nothing more than trained seals. John, I don't know how many people that fit that description.
It's just a yelling at things that don't exist.
Yeah, I know John is one of the most staunchly anti-Rule guys that I hear from on a daily basis. I get it. But I don't think there's anybody out there with a megaphone shouting from the rooftops, this will be the year that they turn it all around. I think at the very best you could be is in kind of wait and see mode at this point.
Yeah, I just don't think these media members that are pumping everything up exist.
Okay, well, that's not true.
But no, I mean,
media members
specifically right now, I don't. How many times it's going to be more hype about this? And anytime there's a press conference right now, there will be response to it of stop hyping stuff up. And they're tweeting it to the team account who's literally just putting out content right now.
There is an interesting Joey, it was close. Dang. It was a short one. There is this I think lack of understanding or being able to tell the difference on what is literally a quote or whatever it is, and then what is quote unquote hype.
It's how everything became clickbait and everything was written for clicks.
Yeah, but with that being said,
everything is hype.
Now hold on. As you would admit, there still is a lot of clickbait and there still is a lot of sunshine pumping.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
that everything is. Yes.
There's a lack of being able to discern, writing a story that the quarterback talked is not saying, hey, this quarterback is going to be tremendous.
Correct.
Because if someone puts,
but there is some of that.
It was an interesting conversation with Anthony and Calandria. Doesn't mean he's going to win 9 games.
That's true.
I mean, so there's just, as I have said yesterday in my I have an opinion before we have an opinion, moderation doesn't exist. People live on the extremes. So the extreme of this is basically anyone that doesn't say Matt Rule is a clown and Nebraska is going to be terrible is therefore either hyping up the team or believes that Nebraska is definitely going to get over the hump.
My version of saying that phrase that you just said is nobody understands nuance. Nobody understands nuance. They think everything is one thing or the other thing. There is some of both, and you could find it wherever you're looking. Here is Pedro. Hi, guys. I have an opinion. I can drink a 12-ounce cup of beer in one long gulp. What is your limit?
Of chugging?
Definitely not that.
So, no, not chugging, because chugging is different than one long gulp. He's saying one gulp, one swallow. I mean, I can't. That is impressive.
Yeah,
Pedro.
I don't know that the ability to do that exists.
I think that's what he's saying.
I'm Mr. Rogers sipping the beer
Yeah, like I don't mind like hitting it pretty hard from time to time, but one long gulp, I can't imagine getting 12 ounces down. Maybe like half of that, maybe half of it.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the 12-ounce cup, or even just a pint to make it easier, and in one pullback / one swallow, you're halfway home. Like I feel really good about what I just consumed. Like, that's good.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I've never thought about it in just a singular gulp.
Count your gulps next time.
Count
Count your gulp volume.
How many gulps to get to the bottom of a glass?
Well, I think in that case, well, in Pedro's case, it's one. Apparently.
Yeah, literally one gulp.
Which is kind of nuts. Let's see. This is not an opinion, but I guess it can look like one. Rob writes in, people have a lowered level of media literacy these days. You don't say. Yeah, I do.
It's a thing.
There's times where the media hasn't helped with that either, but there's a lot of different. I mean, it's situational, obviously. J-Man writes in, I have an opinion. Gong time is the best time. Hit it.
The rant gong has been a great addition to this show.
I was thinking about this last night. The rant gong is really, truly unbelievable because we came up with that like within the first 12 minutes of this show's history.
Yeah.
And
just happen to find something.
When I think about those 12 minutes of my life, I don't want to repeat them ever again. And so it's amazing that something positive sprouted out of those moments.
I think about those 12 minutes as I had just gotten through the door 2 minutes before those 12 minutes had started.
I would say less.
90 seconds.
I would say less.
12 seconds.
Yeah, maybe like as little as 30 seconds.
I have an opinion. The show now starts at 6. And will always
6:01.
6.
Indeed.
Don't forget 6:01.
All right.
And I don't know if it will always start at 6. I can't tell people that for sure. But for right now, it does.
Thus far, it's been at 6.
Let's see. Oh, I think I got an email here. Oh, Jim writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox. He says the Huskers should definitely go back to the Crown and defend. Sign Bill Moose. Is that a reference to Crown?
It could be.
It's
It could be just a
interesting.
reference to Bill Moose's crazy ideas.
His
Bill Moose-
crazy book.
I mean, Bill Moose.
Bill
Like
Moose
maybe,
is the kind of
maybe
guy-
the Crown is the Big 12 and the NCAA Tournament's the Big 10, and so Jim is saying that Bill Moose would rather go back to the Big 12.
Maybe. Bill Moose is the kind of guy who would come up with the idea of the Crown in the first place.
Probably.
Yeah. Although I don't think he did. 2 more. Pedro, hi guys. Excuse me, hi
The
guys.
chapter's not in his book.
I don't believe so. We'll have to check that for clarity. Hi guys, I have an opinion. Daylight savings time should be 2 hours instead of 1 hour. Having a 10 p.m. sunset would be fantastic. That is my opinion.
Just travel up north. Just go to Alaska. You'll get a 10 p.m. sunset.
I don't know.
I'm
good.
barely interested in the 1 hour as it is. Like, I just would rather we just set some
Just
time and that's
travel.
what it just is forever.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not interested in putting the movement on it.
Just-
But
I like the movement.
yeah,
Or I
would
don't
you want more
I'm
movement?
fine with the movement. No, I don't want more movement.
If
I don't
you-
want it to get dark at 10.
If you want a 10 p.m. sunset, just go to Alaska or Norway where they have the midnight sun.
Alaska, they don't even have sunsets up there in the summer. They just
I mean, you can go to
Well,
Iceland
I'm-
and it's
yeah, I'm not-
24 hours of light as well
Yeah.
in some places.
Not talking about summer, just in the spring or fall when there's a little bit of nighttime there.
getting closer. Or you could go in the dead of the winter when it's always dark and the sun never comes out.
It's always nighttime.
You want some moderation, don't go to Alaska because it's going to be one thing or the other. That's the story. From the 402, I have an opinion. It's definitely going to be severe storm tomorrow because baseball is finally supposed to be played downtown again. Yes, that's right. In honor of college baseball's crown jewel reopening again tomorrow with new scoreboards and ribbon boards and all this new
it'll be fun.
technology, there is due to be some mild tornadic activity. Awesome. We wouldn't have it any other way in Omaha. And finally, from the 402, I have an opinion. I should be able to bump the car in front of me if they aren't going the minimum speed limit.
I like the idea in principle. In practice, I think it's going to be tough to pull off.
If you've driven around in New York, everybody's got those things on the back of their cars where they're literally like bumper protectors because they're just expecting that they're going to get bumped by cars behind them, which, if you go in with the knowledge that it can and will happen, then maybe you're okay with it. You don't like it. It's like
so bizarre to me.
It's the New York equivalent of a honk. It's just a bump.
We don't do the honk here. We do the bonk.
No, I mean, they honk a lot.
They're going to bonk you.
The honks mean so much less in New York because everybody's honking all the time. So they go all the way to the bump.
That's kind of how they communicate.
Yeah. Here, if you get honked at, it's like you think you have committed a crime and you apologize profusely to everybody around you.
I think the only time I have spent time in a car in New York City was getting to and from the airport. Otherwise, any other time I've been there and I, been on there for like 10 days.
It's fun to drive.
All walking, all subway, never wanting to be in a car. It just seems like a miserable experience.
It's kind of fun. I like driving. I like driving and navigating it.
I mean, you really enjoy driving.
As long as you're not stuck in traffic.
Yeah. I mean, the ride from the airport's enough.
Oh, it most certainly is.
Just enough.
Oh, it takes an hour to get to
Midtown really
Manhattan.
It really does.
All right, we'll be back. Brian Christopherson is our next guest on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a symbol man. I'm a symbol man. I'm a symbol man. I'm a symbol man.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone.
All right, spring ball rolls on, and we heard from the quarterbacks and the running backs and their coaches yesterday. Brian Christopherson joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. BC, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. We heard from the best quarterbacks and the best running backs in the country, I would say.
Look, there's another media member, Sunshine Pumping. Congratulations, BC, and welcome to the hamster wheel.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking a little bit about that. I won't weigh in on that.
That's okay.
That conversation will go on as long as there's Husker football.
That is true. That will never change. So instead, we'll go to very, 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 very objective thoughts about what was heard and seen yesterday. I like to you, and I think there's some of this where you could potentially make too much of it, especially comparing it to the last guy. I was definitely struck by Anthony Calandria and just sort of his vibe. Obviously, you come with the knowledge of the type of player he is as well, and I think that pairs along maybe with his attitude a little bit. What did you hear from him yesterday, and what stuck out to you?
I thought it was sort of just an interesting background into how he connects with teammates at a new school. I didn't think and it's just a press conference, so you're not going to get too deep into the football part of it, and there's only so much he can say. But he has experience at this, obviously last year fitting in at UNLV, about how to build chemistry with guys in the off season and build trust. And it does seem like he's doing a really effective job of that. So that's something that's not hype. That's something that's just it's the story of the off season, like who's doing what to try to be in position to succeed in the fall. And I think, it sounds like through the first 2 months, he's been effective at that and has the type of personality that excels in sort of a situation like this, which is not easy. I don't think it's easy to come in and just lead a huddle 7 months after arriving, but you have to have, sort of that mindset, like, I'm going to get to know everybody here fast. I'm going to get to know what they like to do, what they're all about. And in turn, there's a respect that builds up. And it seems like he's working hard at that.
This quarterback room in general just feels so different than recent years to me. I mean, and I think you had the opportunity to check in with a few of these guys now. I mean, what do you make of this room, especially with the fact that they've now added a Daniel Kalen, and it's another year of TJ Lateef, who I thought, was interesting in his own way and in sort of describing he never really even considered the idea of leaving Nebraska, even if he knew that there was going to be more quarterbacks being brought in.
I thought TJ was the most comfortable and confident he's been behind the microphone in like a media setting since he's done it. And I think he's trying, as he said, to not just lead by example, but pull the rope and get others to come along with him. And I think he's done a nice job of that. I might have said it on this show before, but right after the Las Vegas Bowl, Henry Letofsky came out, and of course that was his final game as a Husker, so he was pretty candid about things. And he got to talking about TJ Lateef, and I was really struck by like his quote about just how much guys all throughout the locker room really respect TJ. And you kind of heard that from Dana Holgerson like a week or so ago too, when he said he was asked a question about Isaiah Hunter and Ja'Cory Barney being retained, and not entering the portal and staying here. And he said that both those guys had mentioned they feel good about TJ, like they like the future there. And that was before they had even added Calandria or Danny Kalen. And so I just think that's an interesting dynamic to consider as the competition plays out. I've said it. I if I was going to bet, I would bet Anthony Calandri wins the job. He's a senior. He's got a good resume. But I do think you have two quarterbacks in TJ and Danny who are really respected in that locker room. And I don't think it's a case where guys are going to pick sides, you know what I mean, with their quarterback. And so that's a good thing because that can happen sometimes. So I think they can avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always sort of balked at the idea that having a good quarterback room like matters, because ultimately, like, it's the starter, and maybe you have a game or two or a few snaps of your backup, and that's how good you're going to be at quarterback. But the dynamic, BC, is different. And like you said, if there is any division there, I don't think there would be from the TJ Lateef side of things, because I really believed him yesterday when he's like, "Hey, look, I'm all in. I'm here because I want to be here."
Didn't feel like an act.
Nothing could change that fact for me. At least that was his thought in that moment yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge bonus to retain him. I mean, think about the dominoes if like Nebraska goes and gets a guy like Calandria. For a while, we thought it was going to be Minchie, and then TJ, like a day or two later, is like, "I've decided to enter the portal." If you have stuff like that going on, it really would have been difficult. So to have a guy who's like, "No, I'm going to go compete," and not only that, I'm going to treat it like I'm the starter. I was a starter at the end of the year. I'm going to go into it with that competitive mindset. And then I thought the other thing that was interesting from TJ yesterday was talking about how he actually didn't want to be so mechanical. And obviously he's got Calandria around, and, Calandria is the sort of the talk around him is how he can maybe help with some of the plays that go off script and stuff like that. He's done that throughout his career. And, it seemed like TJ wanted to say, "Hey, I have that in my bag too. And I kind of want to show that off this spring." So I thought that was kind of an interesting takeaway.
What was your big sort of takeaway from EJ Barthel and what he had to say about the running back room and obviously that conversation that's just sort of been had, before and will be going on after spring ball as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's another one that's just going to spin around until they play the games and those guys prove that they either got it right or they didn't. But I guess with EJ, what he said about Quentin Ives and him like being the best pass protector, and it just sounds like he's had one of the better starts so far to spring. And Quentin Ives, I didn't think I'd be talking about him in 2026 on a radio show in the spring. Honestly, I thought that maybe he had reached near the end of what he was going to do here, but in a way, I thought about this yesterday. We're so trained to do that with players now. Like when I first started loving college football and following college football, there were guys who developed and you didn't hear from them sometimes till their fourth year. That was very common. Like they got to be like a fourth year junior and suddenly maybe they weren't the starter, but they were a solid like third string back. Those guys have been written all throughout Nebraska football history. And so a guy like Quentin, I mean, I'd love to see him be that guy who maybe he's not the star. I don't think he will be, but he's like, it's third down and 1. I'm going to take this job and I'm going to be great at it. And we're going to have just a high, success rate on those short yardage situations. He was 4 for 4 in the bowl game. I think he got some confidence out of that. So I guess it's interesting that he's sort of like a wild card in the conversation. I think Mekhi Nelson and Mosey are really confident. It's interesting that Mosey, he's up to 215 pounds now. He came in at 195 last year, and as Barthel said, he feels like a real running back to him, and Mosey feels that way too. Like he had to really learn some things, and there's a lot of tricks of the trade that he had to pick up on fast. So I don't know. I have a little bit more optimism about that group than probably the general public. I know within the walls, though, that's a true belief. They think they have guys that are going to be successful there and are versatile and can get the job done, and that's why they stand pat. But we'll see. 6-7 months from now.
BC, Nebraska basketball 5-5 in their last 10 after starting 20-0. Do you get the sense that this group, with the same group of players that was 20-0, is any less confident than they were when they got to that point?
It's a good question. I don't think, like in an overall sense, not necessarily, but there's a couple guys who have just seemed a little timid with the ball in their hands, which seems unusual at this point to me. Rink and I would say Jamarcus of late has been a little bit like that, where you just feel like that, and both have dealt with illnesses, of course, maybe, not coincidentally. And so, if Nebraska is going to make a run, I still think those are two key guys who, and I'm not talking about with rink mass, like it has to be like a 3 or 4 3-pointer game or anything like that, although that'd be awesome to see. But just like sort of that demanding, like when he, a couple months ago when he got it down low, you expected him to score most of the time. And it's just been a little iffy down there. And I feel like Nebraska's been loose with the ball. They've had some unforced errors that I just don't think were there necessarily, a month and a half ago. So they have not played the best version of themselves lately. The good thing for them, I think, is Sunday is the perfect setup. Like, I mean, it can go both ways. Don't get me wrong, but you get a chance at one of those teams that sort of stuffed you in a locker with your offense. The last game held you, got physical, and got you to only 52 points. You get another crack at them in your gym. And if you can respond and play a clean game and sort of get your groove back a little bit offensively, and a couple of the guys I mentioned go up a couple floors with their game, at dinner time Sunday, Nebraska could be a 2 seed in the Big Ten and 26-5, and everyone's feeling really great about things. So I think they hopefully were able to reset quickly from what happened in UCLA and see, this is an awesome opportunity in front of them, and it's a big one. I mean, it is a deal now with Purdue scraping by yesterday, where you could be playing for anything between a 2 and a 5 seed next weekend. So I think getting that extra day off is big, not just for that tournament, but for the NCAA tournament. So I think it's important that they win this game Sunday.
When you think about that loss to Iowa a couple weeks ago, what's sort of the biggest thing you think Nebraska has to kind of correct in order to find their way to victory on Sunday against this Iowa team?
Yeah, that's a good Schaefer. I think the offensive stuff's obvious, but the thing about that game that was annoying was just what was it, like 10 or 11, the offensive boards that sort of piled up. And with Iowa, who slows the game down, think about that. I mean, it would create like another 15 to 20 seconds of defense every possession. And so there were possessions that Iowa had the ball for, a minute plus after they got a couple of rebounds. And so I think that's the biggest deal. Nebraska was they were bad at it at UCLA. There were deals where the ball was in Husker hands and they let it get away, and it led to, at least like 6 easy points for UCLA. So I just think, it's got to be a game with 5 committed to the glass where when you get that defensive stop initially, you shut that down and get the board and maybe get in transition and try to get this game a little bit more at your tempo than it was last time in Iowa City.
All right, BC, we will let you go. Always appreciate you joining the show, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Make sure to check all the stuff out there. Looking at NCAA Tournament championship odds.
It has given me an idea. Maybe we can address this. Either we could maybe wait till next week.
Write it down, Schaefer. We need another college basketball random topic for tomorrow.
Do it.
We'll be back. I still want to play some Anthony Calandria from yesterday as well. We'll do that probably at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Max Olson's going to join us at 9:15. Talk about some college football with him. We'll hear from Anthony Calandra here in just a couple minutes. Last night at Hinkle Fieldhouse, where the roof was leaking, Creighton played probably their best half of the year. I mean, I thought when they were on a 12-0 run, I thought, wow, this might be the best run they've had all year. And then they extended the run out to, what did it get to? Like 29?
It was 26-6.
26-6. Yeah. Like, all right, this is definitely the best run that they've had all year. They defended like crazy, obviously got some shot making on offense and felt really good about themselves. Nick Graves, how about that? A distributor in that game, 11 assists?
So 14 points, 13 assists, I think, and 6 steals. And I heard that was like a first stat line in the Big East in like 30 years.
I believe that was a Rob stat.
Yeah, that was a Rob stat.
The Rob tweets. We always need to call up the Rob tweets before the Creighton segments. That's for sure. Creighton's Nick Graves, the first player with 14 points, 13 plus assists, 6 plus steals in a Big East game in the last 30 years. So you nailed it, Joey. I mean, that is pretty crazy. There is some buzz going on right now about the potential impending commitment of Jackson Richardson. And so the natural next question is, Connor, are you ready to get hurt again? And my answer is yes.
Is your answer ever no to that?
It's
Correct.
not going to happen.
What do untether yourselves?
Like I
untether yourselves.
Isn't sports just an evolving series of questions of are you prepared to have your heart ripped out and stomped on? And the answer is always yes.
It's a great point. It stuns me how many people say no to that.
What? Who's saying no?
Everyone who follows Husker football is like, oh, they hurt me again. I guess I'll go in a corner and not think about it much. I'm like, dude, you're not going to be physically in pain from this. All right. Same thing with Creighton. I'm back. They're going to this is the year that they finally do it in Madison Square Garden. They win the Big East final of the year of all years, the Bizarro World Season. They're 0-5 in the Big East Tournament Championship, and they finally win.
And then they get to go to Dayton.
Can you go to Dayton if you're a Power 5 AQ?
I don't know. Did they send Georgetown a few years ago?
No, I don't think so.
No, they didn't
lost
send Georgetown over
Colorado.
Okay, so then they would be 12. Like, how low are they?
Well, I mean, they would have beaten UConn and St. John's in the Big East tournament. So,
sure.
Like, I mean,
it's
not like they'd be a
higher
bubble
than
team
12.
at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't be a bubble team because they'd be automatically qualified.
I know, but like the equivalent of a bubble team.
Sure.
It's like the resume is like mega horrible.
I mean, it's not great. Well, yeah, yes, they'd be what, like 85th?
It's not like they're 7-26.
Sure.
You know?
No, they would not be a under 500 team.
Right.
They would be what, 18-15 if they went out from
I
this point forward?
believe that's right.
Depending on what happens with this first round situation.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they could get into that game. So, anyway, are you ready to get hurt again?
The answer should always be yes.
The answer should always be yes as a sports fan. Then there was this last night. This is just added comedy to the whole thing. Jason Green's dad took this picture, so shout out to Rob. This is from the Butler student section last night. If you're watching with us on YouTube, this is what they were telling their students to be aware of. Butler versus Creighton. It looks like a newspaper, like front page of a newspaper. Number one, things to do in Omaha, leave. And then they have all of Creighton's like starters, or 5 of them, superimposed on 2 corn cobs. Then they claim that Creighton's defense is traffic cones. And they said that Blue Jays are experts, Blue Space Jays, by the way, they're experts in mimicry. In this case, they attempt to mimic a good basketball team. A Blue Jays call is often described as a jeer or a loud gurgling. And then they basically just made fun of Creighton a lot for not playing defense, and then absolutely smacked Butler in the second half. And Butler scored how many points? How many points in the second half? I'll tell you exactly how many points. 23 against traffic cones. So nice job, Butler. some traffic cone.
So is the idea there that you drive around the traffic cone? Is that like
in theory? Also, I'd like to tell Butler student section that Creighton has a better defense in KenPom defensive efficiency than Butler does. So if they're traffic cones, what does that make Butler? Poles.
What is Butler?
What is Butler? What even is Butler? Yeah, they have big guys that like to rebound a little bit. I don't know. Didn't necessarily work out for Butler last night. Anyway, that is the Blue Jays last night, who will take the weekend off. Their next game will either be Wednesday or Thursday at Madison Square Garden in the Big East tournament. There are some scenarios. Joey, you want to? Well, there's really just one, right? You're rooting for Butler now.
Yep, you're rooting for Butler in an 11 a.m. match in Chicago.
Creighton got like 3 different things to go their way last night, which is another piece of positivity. And so, yeah, Butler against DePaul. If Butler wins, Creighton is indeed the 5 in the Big East tournament, where they would play Seton Hall, who they have traded great games with this year. On Thursday at 1:30, winner would get, in that scenario, St. John's. I think there's still several scenarios where UConn is the outright winner.
Yeah, there are scenarios.
So you need Butler's defense to be better than it was on Wednesday here.
I guess
and their offense to be better. They only hit 4 threes, and I think 2 of them were.
I was
in
looking at
garbage
the
time.
numbers.
Now, at the same time, I'm not like super fired up either way about this. Like, I guess I'd prefer them to have an extra day. An extra one less game, I suppose, is the right way to put it. But if you set it up the other way, they get Georgetown on the Wednesday game, the late game. They'd have to come back and play Villanova, who is different than they were a week ago, even without Hodge, and then UConn would be the path on that side of the bracket. Now, at the same time, Creighton can't be trusted to beat literally anybody. So, like, adding an extra game in there doesn't quite favor them in terms of the numbers, but it's not like it makes a huge deal one way or the other.
Yeah.
The point of last night was get yourself feeling good. Unfortunately, they have to take like 11 days off or whatever it is, 10 days off before they play their next game. I guess it'd only be 7, but
that extended break, not super helpful.
Nope.
Last week nobody asked for this.
Not what you would have wanted.
But they've done it now, and now they won't have to do it next season, theoretically.
In theory, yes. Sam writes in, the Butler people, they're not wrong about the defense. Yeah. It's just funny coming from Butler. That's all. But it was bad.
When was the last good Butler season? It's been a minute.
They've been okay recently, but I don't know. Last good Butler season. They won 18 games a couple of years ago. 22-9 in the year that got cut short due to COVID. So I guess that would probably
basically
they would have been
a tournament team.
They would have been a tournament team.
2017-18 was the last time they were in the NCAA tournament, and they got to the second round. They were 21-14 overall that season. The first season,
and those were all
Chris
Holtman holdovers. Shout out to Chris Holtman, who now needs to lose to his former school tomorrow in order for Creighton to get the 5 in the Big East tournament. All right, when we come back, we will hear from Nebraska's supposed quarterback after this on 1620 The Zone. wonder if people watch us on TV/YouTube and are like, who are these idiots? Which would be a fair response, right? We're on YouTube. We're not on television.
I have read the YouTube comments of videos that have been on there, and they will wonder, who is that idiot? I don't know about you.
I think
Usually when there's a guest host.
Most people who watch our show are probably have a pretty good understanding of what we look
At this
like.
point, I would
like
think.
there's not many like just wandering along. What are these guys talking about? Let's go click on this. And I suppose it's the same thing with this weird Barstool show. But I
We've
can't
had on for like an hour.
But I
plus.
can't stop looking at these guys. They
You
all
can't
look
stop looking at Big T.
They look so weird.
It looks again like a public access television thing.
So Joey's great idea was that we all create Barstool names for ourselves.
Just randomly show up with our names on the video stream, just our given names.
I think it's a really interesting idea.
I
It'd
was
be
like
fun.
trying to come up with something with our guests, and I don't know why. It's like you got Mitch Sherman, and you have Sam McEwen, and you have Brian Christopherson, and I can't come up with like nicknames for them
I know.
that feel like in the vein of the Barstool type thing.
It's funny because we're looking at guys. Okay, so
Probably because
We
it's a
got-
bunch of middle-aged
we got
white
Big
men in the
T.
Midwest.
we got what's the guy on the left, Joey?
Is that Jersey Jerry?
Jersey Jerry. We got PFT commenter, and I don't know who that guy is.
I only know
what a
one
collection
guy.
of people. What a collection of people. So I think we need to all come up with Barstool.
The guy on the
nicknames.
right looks like he's the doppelganger of someone who's slightly famous, but not really famous.
He's trying to look famous.
He's
He's
trying
definitely
his
the most
best.
distinguished guy on set that they have.
I don't know.
I'd
The
have to know
PFT
his.
commenter looks pretty distinguished there.
I'd have to know his name. I'd have to know his name to really understand what kind of person we're dealing with there. That could really help you out. Anyway, we got to know Anthony Calandria, who I call Tony, but I don't think anybody else calls him Tony.
Should find out if he's willing to go by Tony.
We should have.
I think
been
he only
there.
wants to go by Ant, though.
He wants to be Ant.
Yeah, I saw some references to him as Ant in
Oh.
other stories.
Really?
Ant Calandria.
I don't want that.
We've got
Can I
Anthony
keep-
Edwards has become Ant,
No,
so now
I
all the
know.
Anthonys are Ant.
That's part of the reason why I don't like calling Anthony Calandria. I'm not going to actually.
That's when everything became a Rod. You remember that? A-Rod happens, and then
Oh, yeah.
everyone with the
A-Rod, K-Rod,
E-Rod, K-Rod,
Yeah.
J-Rod.
J-Rod. Yeah. We still have a J-Rod, right? I mean, that's what they call Julio Rodriguez sometimes.
Yeah.
Did we ever have a
The-
C-Rod?
The Guardians have they have a J-Rod, and it is not. If your nickname is the same as someone who's legitimately good and you play the same exact
Oh.
sport, you should not be referred to as J-Rod.
Well, they call Jose Ramirez J-Ram sometimes.
they do call him J-Ram.
Don't they? That's probably how people back in the day would call me C-Hap sometimes,
Well, they call him Hosey mostly.
which is great. That's
Yeah,
Tom
the-
Hamilton.
The
thing.
most baseball thing, and I joke about this with you about Rex Hudler. Like every nickname is just like some variation of their name with a
E.
Y.
Yes.
Ersty.
Yep. Ersty
In that
Gordy.
interview that we did, everything was Ersty.
Gordy. Husker Hoop Central writes in on YouTube. We got Haps, MFer, that's you, and Joey Shirts.
So what happened to Joey's schedules? Joey Cobra or Hot Cheddar?
It doesn't have to make sense. That's the
That's
thing that
true.
we're dealing with.
I
here.
like Joey Skedge.
Joey Sketch. Joey Sketch. Joey Shirts is pretty funny.
I
It
do
sounds
like
sort of East Coast in a
It
way.
does.
Just show up with a random shirt
MFer
every
is
day.
that's an interesting one.
It's interesting. I don't know what it's referencing at all. On YouTube, Debo writes in, okay, so the guy with the hair, he goes by T-Bob. T-Bob.
That does not
It
look
doesn't
like
look like a
T-Bob.
T-Bob to
No,
me. It looks like
no.
an Eric.
He looks like he's cosplaying being Blake Shelton.
He looks like the guy from The Office. He in that New York party or something.
Oh, somebody who works at corporate.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
He
One of
doesn't
the
look like he works at corporate.
Anyway, on Calandria, I want to do this real quick.
Yeah, sorry.
Alex Lincoln says, Int Calandria. How's that for an idea? Some things in his past might say that. So this would, I thought this was funny, and it's a window into his personality a little bit. You don't have to read into this at all, but I just think it was sort of a funny moment yesterday. So he gets up there, Calandria does, and he's, you start to go down the road of, hey, how'd you get here? Did you ever think you would be here? Like, all that stuff. Now, luckily, it wasn't like a Penn State, Iowa State situation. It was like, have you ever seen this many media before? Nobody did that, which was fantastic. Good job by the media that were in attendance yesterday. And, he was like, yeah, it was crazy. I was going on a visit to another school, and then I basically just rerouted and came to Lincoln. And Sam McEwen asked a follow-up question of basically the follow-up question was, tell me more. Can you give me a couple details? And he didn't necessarily decline to give details, but he did say this. This is Nebraska's new starting quarterback, in theory, Anthony Calandria, yesterday.
Yeah, so like a funny story, honestly. So 3 weeks before my bowl game, I accidentally ordered a Nebraska shirt. This is crazy. Like, I was just buying presents for, my family, and I accidentally ordered a Nebraska shirt. And, when we opened it up, when Coach Rule, ended up texting me, and we were like, no way, this is wild. Wild how it just worked out, but it was super crazy. What did you mean to order? Like a regular shirt. It was like a black T-shirt. And what came in was a black Nebraska shirt. And my mom was like, this is wild. No way.
That's your wild of the day. That was wild, man. What kind of shirt did you try to get, Anthony? Oh, just a black one. Just a regular black one.
Just wanted a straight black shirt.
So he wasn't particularly talkative. He wasn't particularly talkative yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tough spot too, because everything is just like, oh, how did you get here? How are you enjoying it? Yeah, some of it too. And I'd seen discussion about this. We still sort of treat the transfer portal and the idea of adjusting to new teammates and all of that as just crazy new fad. For him, it's the second time he's done it. He went over to UNLV, had a ton of success with it.
He's become really good at it. He has handshakes with everyone.
Yeah, and it's the first time we've talked to him, and he's been here for 75 days at this point. Or somewhere in that
I
neighborhood.
think so. That sounds about right.
Not that much, but because February's shorter. But he's been here at least, let's say, 55 to 60 days. So
that's a number.
He's been here long enough that it's familiar with it. But this is a time that the Nebraska media has been able to talk to him. And just like everything else, it's just been sort of an interesting spring in what they've chosen to say, what the coaches have chosen to say, what players have chosen to say, because it feels like they haven't revealed too much or don't want to say too much. So we'll see where that all goes.
Yeah, I just am interested sort of in his personality a little bit.
It seems like the most Gen Z, because Nebraska sort of went from Adrian Martinez, who is very much a grown-up even at 18 years old, and came off that way almost to the point where you weren't going to get a bunch of anecdotes or stories or whatever from him at any point. Casey Thompson, very similar in that regard. Jeff Sims, who sort of was his own thing. And then in there, you'd have Heinrich Harburg, who's a local kid. You end up with Dylan Raiola. It's more like Adrian Martinez, where it's just kind of dialed down a little. And now you have someone who comes off as maybe the most Gen Z quarterback that they've had so far.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. If you're comparing Adrian and Dylan, I just think one guy was a lot more genuine than
and
guy.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking in how they would talk and answer things.
Very polished.
Very polished.
Media trained.
Yes, exactly.
This guy is not.
Casey Thompson, very media trained.
Yeah. This guy is not. And honestly, that's okay. Or / maybe good. Yeah. I mean, at the very least, my observation, and I don't think it's very different from many others. I think he's sort of a breath of fresh air from kind of not necessarily because it doesn't matter what they say in press conferences ultimately, who cares? But that carries on in his personality and how he interacts with his teammates and how he's ultimately able to lead. And I do think it shows in his play style too. He's a I don't know, man. They asked him yesterday, it was hey, running's a big part of your game. You're in the Big Ten now. Like, does that affect anything? And he was like, no. It's like, yeah, the guys are bigger and they're sorry. I don't care. Like, I want to run past them. I'm going to score touchdowns. That's what I'm trying to do.
My goal is to run away.
Yeah. That was sort of the vibe I got from him yesterday, which is kind of refreshing, and
there's an authenticity in sort of, how he his style and when you've listened to interviews with him and everything that comes across. And as you said, I mean, none of this ultimately matters if he gets in a game and it goes poorly and continues to go poorly. They have other options. If he gets in and he plays well, it's not like we're going to be spending a lot of time dissecting any of this either. So it very much, this spring just feels so transitional and like everyone's like, okay, we've got to meet these guys. And then we'll have our first thoughts on what they are. And then we'll listen to what the coaches say that they're doing. And then we'll watch the spring game and have a bunch of thoughts because we haven't visualized or seen anything else so far.
Ready, break.
Then a big break. Mm-hmm. And then we come back and we kind of are going to redo all of it at the beginning of fall camp. And then it all goes out the window and they play 3 non-conference games where the expectation is they smash everyone. And then we throw all of that away and then they start Big Ten play.
Welcome to college football in 2026, baby.
Basically what it is.
What everybody's doing. All right, we'll be back. Max Olson will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Happer Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Max Olson from ESPN. Max, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing all right, guys. A lot of, we got an 8-month-old baby over here, so we've had some late nights lately, but surviving in advance.
Okay, good. And then your time away at the combine, I'm sure was probably a little bit difficult for the folks back home as well. But I guess I'm more interested in your time in Indianapolis. How was it? What'd you learn? Anything that stood out to you there?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's my first time going to it, and I think part of it was, that in my line of work now, in covering college football and specifically, transfer portal and roster construction and all that, that's the place to go see all the agents now. And so you had a ton of agents all in one place, which was great. And they've also stepped up. They've got good programming now there, where the college GMs are flying in for a summit now in Indy with with them and the agents. And so really a whirlwind of a week there. Impressive to see how the whole combine operation works for the players on the NFL side. But it's certainly business season when it comes to dealing with the agents.
What was sort of the buzz from the agents? And maybe this isn't really much of a topic. I know we talked about it the last time you were on, but what was sort of the buzz from the agents about the lack of a spring portal and what that might actually mean for player movement that's still going to happen, even if there's not an actual portal for people to go into?
Yeah, great question. I think the term for that people are throwing around now is blind transfers, and the comparison is, last summer when Jake Retzlaff was left BYU outside of the portal window, he was able to withdraw from the school and enroll at Tulane as a walk-on, and then from there they got him signed and I'm sure paid him and took care of him. And so, that's been brought up quite a bit when you talk with agents, that especially just coming right out of January, where, look, we all know these teams are going to have needs. They're going to have injuries. We've seen South Carolina already have their top 2 tackles get hurt. There's going to be situations where programs that have money have a problem, and they're going to say, well, we got to figure something out here. And that's already being talked about with agents of hey, can we figure out a way? If we have needs, can we figure out a way to do it? And I think the agents are reluctant because I think they know it's not going to be a good look. And obviously we're at a point now where, you're breaking rev share contracts and there's buyouts and there's problems with that. Obviously the NCAA is trying to preemptively crack down on this and is threatening some pretty severe penalties, including a 6-game suspension for a head coach who takes one of these transfers. And so, that hasn't been approved as that being the official penalty for adding transfers outside of the portal window, but they know this is coming and they are trying to put a stop to this. But, I think we know as we get through spring every year, it's, teams, the value of the spring portal has been to add and drop guys. And so, we'll see if the NCAA goes through that. And then if they do, will that end up in a courtroom like everything else does? Yeah.
Max Olson from ESPN is with us. Max, we were just sort of talking about this idea, speaking of player movement and the freedom of it and all that stuff. We were sort of talking about before the segment before you came on about how everybody's kind of starting over. It feels like Nebraska's certainly in that position with their new quarterback. To what extent varies across college football. I had the thought this week, and I guess it's been in the back of my mind for a while, that the teams and the schools who really value this idea of continuity, and there's only so much of it that you could hold up year over year because you lose people to graduation anyway. Are there any good examples, or have you seen a trend of that actually holding up? If you have some continuity year over year, you're not heavy with guys leaving the program or overly heavy with guys joining in the program, that there could be an advantage to that more so now as everything sort of changes around so rapidly in college football?
Yeah, I think you're hitting on a thing that's come up quite a bit in talking with GMs this offseason about kind of the way they look at this job now. And I think it's funny that I think there's still certainly a ton of value in terms of just returning experience, returning production. And, if you're high on that list, I think it gives you a better chance. But you also have to look at last year. I think the two teams you'd say, like, man, they're just in incredible shape going into 25 would be Penn State and Clemson. And it just totally fell apart on them. So It doesn't mean that, like, it's bad to have returning experience, but it's almost like, should you, can that put you in a spot where maybe you're not doing enough in the portal and not getting enough competitive depth situations there, and maybe guys are plateauing or something like that. But, I think when you talk to GMs now, I think they look at it and it's starting to feel to them a little bit more like college basketball, where it's like, we can't really sit here and say, like, here's our 3-year plan for our roster anymore. Like, it does feel very year to year, and that's just because of the money. I mean, really, it's not because of, like, a developmental strategy necessarily. It's just like, your young depth, if they get on the field at all, they're going to expect to be paid. And so you have to, make decisions about who you can and can't keep. And, that's just the nature of the beast right now, unless you're a school that's, spending $40 million. And so, like, I think it's a hard thing right now. And, to some degree, you have to, like, be proactive about it and get guys re-signed or do multi-year deals and stuff. But I don't even think if you're doing multi-year deals with players, you feel that much protection, because those don't really totally hold up either.
From your conversations, whether it's with the agents or the GMs or just from tracking it yourself, I mean, does it feel like the college football game has largely followed the NFL model and the positions of which they're going to sort of effectively try to spend more money on, the positions where they're going to try to save on those types of things as it comes to the roster construction?
Yeah, I think so. I think certainly, like, at the top of the roster, like, you're still, and certainly in this portal cycle, even if prices go up kind of across the board, like, you're still, when you're talking about $1 million players, you're still talking about offensive tackles and pass rushers and quarterbacks. And there are some, there's certainly some wide receivers and some running backs and some players that touch that level. But, I think, the premium positions in the NFL and premium positions in college football in a lot of ways. I think that, and some teams are going to overspend for certain reasons on guys, but, like, I think that it's generally in line with that. And I was talking to a group of 5 GM last week who kind of made that point. And this is just the thing everyone's fighting now, because we're in a time where a few years ago, Nebraska and other schools had a big advantage if you had a collective and you had money and you could spend it, and other schools just were not as organized or just didn't have the funds for it. And now, because of rev share, everyone's got the money and everyone has to spend the money. And so you've just got a ton of competition for everybody now. But the comparison that the GM made was like, right now, if you're not at, like, Texas Tech or Miami and you're like, well, who's the best D tackle in the country? Let's just go get him. Like, everyone's looking for value. Everyone's looking for a deal, and they're looking for, $1 million player in their eyes they can get for $300,000. And so when you've got, 70 schools all searching for that player, it's really competitive, and it's, it takes great evaluation, but it's never easy.
Schaefer and I have sort of butted heads about this. I wanted you to be the arbiter in this conversation. Julian Sayin, is he an elevator for Ohio State, or is he just a run-of-the-mill quarterback for them?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I kind of feel like he's still such a baby. You know what I mean? Like, he was a redshirt freshman last year, coming off, like, almost no playing experience in 24. And, I think he operated the offense at a high level. I mean, you could, certainly if you're a Ohio State fan, you have some frustrations that they didn't, like, totally flip the switch there by the end of the season and stuff. But, like, I think you're surrounded by so many great pieces, and a lot of those move on to the NFL. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith comes back, and you found a good running back in Bo Jackson, who's also a freshman. I think I don't know that we're going to say, like, hey, Julian Sayin's like a top 3 pick a year from now necessarily, but I think the trajectory is impressive so far, and I think he's still got a lot of time to get a lot better.
I agree. Yeah.
All right.
Schaefer's writing him off.
You guys just pretend like you couldn't put 50 other quarterbacks.
Schaefer just doesn't like him because he's boring.
He is boring relative to what I want. He's just in the Ohio State offense. Like, that's what he is. You could put so many quarterbacks to do the same thing. They won a national title with Will Howard.
They did. All right, Max, we'll keep arguing about this, but we'll let you go.
Sorry, Max.
Thanks as always. See you later.
Appreciate it, guys. See you.
Max Olson from ESPN.
like I dislike Julian Sand.
You need a microphone.
It's not even that I dislike Julian Sand. It's that I just feel like you could put so many quarterbacks in there.
I get it, but like I do think what Max said is important.
Oh, yeah,
to know.
no, he's young.
He is a freshman. He
There's
was a
levels
freshman
for
last
him
year.
to go to.
Yeah, and he was a 5-star quarterback.
Yeah.
Like I just think that he's gonna continue to get more and more comfortable, and eventually he'll be a guy that really elevates you. At the same time,
and then he'll go to the NFL and he won't be able to read defenses, and he'll be like most Ohio State.
The team around him is very, very good.
Yeah.
Very,
No,
very good.
the team context of Ohio State is incredible.
Yeah. And if you had asked me this question about Will Howard, I was shouting that from the rooftops a couple of years ago. I think he's better than him.
Well, yeah, from a pure talent perspective, he is better than Will Howard. I don't know that I find him to be particularly entertaining in that you could just do the same thing that he's doing with a lot of quarterbacks.
Can you rate your Ohio State quarterbacks on the most
on entertainment value? Number one, Cardell Jones. Huge drop.
Okay.
And then after that, it gets sort of fascinating. I mean, Justin Fields was really good in college.
He was awesome.
Like really good in college. I would put him probably 2 at that point. I really don't want to go too much further back than like JT Barrett. I don't see a reason to.
Dwayne Haskins was awesome.
Dwayne Haskins doesn't get
so different.
Unfortunately, passed far too soon. He doesn't get the love that he probably should.
Agreed completely.
He beat out Burrow in what was a real competition.
They felt as if they had to play Haskins because his talent was so immense that they couldn't pass it up to start the safe guy in Burrow, which is a crazy thing to say now.
And they're both first-round picks.
Right.
Like, that's the other thing. It's not like Dwayne Haskins. You know, the problem and the joke here for me, and I actually think what has made Joe Burrow elevate his game is that he didn't play in this system-based offense where they never learn how to read NFL defense.
That's true. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean,
like
the Ohio State quarterback thing has not been good.
Watching good coordinators basically look at that Ohio State scheme and be like, okay, if we take away this read and this read, can the quarterback get to something else? And there's been guys that just couldn't. Fields could not do it against Northwestern despite a massive talent advantage. I think we were looking this up. It was like Trey Sermon that saved them that day.
That's right. Yeah.
In the Big Ten championship game. Like there was other teams that were able to do this. Now it's really hard because they just overwhelm you with talent.
You got options.
They had Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson in the same backfield.
Same literal team.
So it didn't matter that Will Howard was not that good of a quarterback, but he had other things that he could do that helped them out. I mean, his ability to run saved them at times.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Our final
Cardell
segment.
Jones.
Joey's out of here. Bye, Joey. Have a happy dentist appointment.
I will.
We'll be back with Oddson, and we will have our bracket sim of the day.
Yes.
After this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Final segment here on a Thursday. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and who's this? It's Johnson, who's back.
Hi, friends.
He was gone entirely yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Nobody knew why.
This is
now
my
Very
punishment.
secretive.
still nobody knows why,
Yeah.
I don't think. So
I kind of like the bit of nobody knowing, but
Nobody-
everybody wondering.
the air of mysteriousness
Mhm.
is something that you want to keep as long as you could possibly do it. So this is like a combo of two different shows from past and present. But Josh, let me introduce you to something. Every day for 3 days in a row now, which I do think really qualifies as a long-standing bit.
It
a lot
might
for
be
you
our
guys, yeah.
longest standing tradition at this point.
If it goes past 1 day, I think it just counts as a streak.
It's basically rant gong and then bracket of the day.
Right. Bracket sim of the day. Our
This is a
friend
good segment.
Evan Miyakawa has a bracket simulator on his website. I don't know if it's Evan Mia or Evan Maya. Padilla, let me know. Although he's not listening, he's probably sitting at Pinnacle Bank Arena right
He
now.
is.
So he just has a bracket simulator, and I don't think the teams can change seed lines. Like I think he might. I don't know how it works.
I'm assuming he just inputs new data every day that then changes out which teams are in.
I guess it just spits something out.
I'm guessing that it will always have the same 68 teams in some order.
Probably.
Yeah.
Although I haven't checked that. So I haven't clicked play yet, or I haven't clicked run yet, but we do have this fun computer sound now. This is less computery, more dial-up internet, which people famously love that noise.
They do.
All right, I ran the simulation.
Oh, wow.
Nebraska, the last 2 days, has gone to the Sweet 16 before losing to SEC teams, Florida and Texas A&M. Today, they are a 3 seed.
All right.
Yet
What
again,
region?
they are in the top right bracket.
Okay.
They
That's
don't-
where they've been each of the times so
I think
far.
they were in the bottom right on the first day,
Okay.
maybe.
I thought they've been top right on all.
Top right.
Who's the 1 seed?
The 1 seed in Nebraska's region is Michigan.
Okay. So
Is
that's the
how's-
Midwest
how's
region.
that
They're in
feel?
Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago.
Well, I don't know where they are for the first
Well,
round
who
game.
knows if they get to Chicago, but they would be playing to get to Chicago.
1 seeds are Duke, Michigan, Arizona, and UConn as we project here on the Happer and Schaefer show as well. All right, so Nebraska is a 3, which means they're going to play a 14, and for the second day in a row, they're going to play Troy.
Look at that.
They're going to play the Troy Trojans. And
I saw this projection made by Andy Katz the other day as well.
that is a
Platt Cat said on our show, you don't want to play Troy.
oh, really.
Yeah.
People have said this.
Do you want to play anybody though? It is the NCAA.
I want to
tournament.
play someone, yes. Now, would I like that team
But if you play someone, you could lose.
to have the worst day of their season? Also, yes.
All right, so for whatever reason, there's a matchup that just gets perpetuated throughout the whether it's them or North Dakota State or something like that.
There's been
You
a
just-
lot of North Dakota State.
You just see them in
Between
all
those
the
two, yeah.
brackets. So they're a 3. They played Troy in the first round, and Nebraska yet again gets their first NCAA tournament win of all time.
Take that, Platt Cat. The
Congratulations.
Sim thinks Nebraska can beat Troy.
It doesn't say by how much.
No,
but
that's true.
It does say
We
they
need to
won.
invent narratives of how Nebraska wins the game. Jared Garcia comes in off of the bench and hits a 3-pointer for Nebraska to sneak by.
That's a little far-fetched.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of why he would be in at the end game scenario that doesn't include someone fouling out.
Jared Garcia coming into the game and just shooting that thing.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does. All right. So Nebraska, congratulations. They're on to, it's yet another scenario where this has to be Thursday, Saturday. Because guess who's on the other side?
BYU?
BYU is the 6.
Maybe this hasn't been updated from yesterday.
They run. I mean, I could click it right now and it would give me a different thing.
Okay.
But the 6 is BYU, who ran into number 11 Ohio State, not a play-in game. It doesn't look like in the first round. So yeah, this is definitely different. I'll tell you why in a second. BYU, Ohio State, and guess who wins that game? but the Ohio State Buckeyes. So Nebraska gets a break. Many teams do. Famously, Nebraska as a 3 moves on to the round of 32 where they get an 11 seed from their own conference.
Wow.
Advantage Big Red, right?
Oh.
Wrong. No. They're eliminated by Ohio State in the round of 32 where the Buckeyes go on to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
And they lose to Houston.
That's just how the cookie crumbles.
All right, so 3 days, 2 Sweet 16s, 1 round of 32. Every single day they've won an NCAA tournament game.
On that, you're very happy. On the front where they keep losing to double-digit seeds,
maybe not so good.
You're like, what the heck is going on here?
What was Texas A&M a 10 yesterday when we did
the
this?
Texas A&M was a 10, yeah.
Oh.
Ohio State's the 11. Who was the 2 in this region?
The 2 in this region was Houston, who ends up going to the Elite 8 and losing to Virginia.
Whoa!
The 4 who beat Michigan in the Sweet 16.
I do not think that's remotely possible.
You're not a Virginia honk?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I still envision the Virginia teams that only scored like 24 points.
No,
a
they're
game.
very different.
I know.
They're
I
not
know.
that team anymore.
I know.
But I have
think
the
it's
same
fair.
thing where I watch them and I'm like, what is this game doing above 50?
All right, so here's what else
They
is
took a
going to
shot.
happen.
There's 12 seconds left on the shot clock.
Duke, UConn, Virginia, and Michigan State are the final 4 teams in this bracket sim. I think this is your least favorite bracket
UConn,
sim ever.
Virginia, Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, you hate all 4 of those teams.
I mean, I don't know how I would root for anyone in this. I guess Virginia, I don't really hate them. I just don't think they're that good.
You just don't respect them.
Yeah, I don't think they could beat Michigan in an actual game.
Well, in this case, they do.
Yeah, so congrats to them.
And they go all the way to the national
And
championship.
they would play Michigan State.
Michigan State in the Final Four, where they win.
So we're going to get a Duke-Virginia national championship game?
Nope.
You're getting a UConn-Virginia national championship
Yep.
game? We're getting a UConn national title?
This is Mike Schaefer's worst narrative
This
nightmare.
is not happening.
This is the Mike Schaefer narrative nightmare.
All the way back to Jared Garcia's game-winning 3. I do not accept this bracket.
Well, this is what the bracket is given.
Pass!
But the UConn Huskies, yet again, win a national championship in this lovely, lovely bracket sim. We have a Connor Happer narrative off in the Elite 8, in the Sweet 16 of another region where 3 seed Iowa State matches up against 2 seed Illinois. I'm a hater of Illinois, a lover of Iowa State, and my narrative dies as well. Illinois goes to the Elite 8 where they play Duke and lose.
Wow.
This
is just a narrative smashing thing.
Would you sign up for a Sweet 16 of Duke, Vanderbilt, Iowa State, Illinois, UConn, Kansas?
Why is this trolling me?
Purdue, Florida, Michigan, Virginia.
No, I'm not signing up for this.
Houston, Ohio State, Arizona, Belmont. Belmont beat North Carolina and Alabama to make the Sweet 16.
Now,
This is
that's the
cool.
most realistic thing that's happened.
Bellow the ball. That's what they'll say about them.
And then Kentucky and Michigan State.
Belmont going on a run that includes beating North Carolina, I can see. Belmont beating Alabama is a tough.
I know nothing about Belmont. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think like the inconsistency of a North Carolina, I could see it. I just think Alabama would score too many points. Okay, there's like certain
Score a lot of-
teams that, you know,
Belmont
are you gonna be able to
26 and
score?
5 just lost to Illinois State last time out.
Whoa, are they in the Valley?
Sure seems that way.
Whoa. They're on Arch Madness right now.
Wow.
They're on their way to St. Louis. They're
That's
going
right.
to Sundeckers.
They're waiting on the Southern Illinois Drake
Do
winner.
you know that they're going to Sundecker?
I have a hunch. All right, that's our bracket sim of the day. Schaefer did not like this
I
one.
didn't at all. I
Folks,
might even just abstain from tomorrow's bracket because of it.
That's how bits die.
Why? Don't do that.
I'm not going to abstain. Clearly, I enjoy this.
Clearly, you love this.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is coming up next.